Lexus of Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into Sportstime on a Thursday, March 23rd. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan-Harder with you. Me and Jay, we're in the Family Leisure Studios and over across the Mississippi River in Arkansas. Brett Norsworthy with us. Brett, how's your afternoon going?
It's going great. Any special numerology for 3/23/23? Anybody got anything? Is anything significant? Is it a certain day anywhere for anything?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't have anything.
I don't either. I'm sure I could find something, but
I could make it up, but I don't really have anything. I know I do have something on this tonight, these games. And I think, and this is bottom of the bracket. Everything is bottom left or bottom right. Nothing in the top of the bracket decided tonight. That's all tomorrow night. But the bottom of the bracket, a lot gets sorted out tonight. From Sin City to Sin City, from New York to Vegas.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'll be honest, I was looking at the schedule between tonight and tomorrow's games. I'm more excited for tonight's games than I am for tomorrow's games. I'll be honest.
I am too, but the intrigue will build tomorrow night, and for me, I'm really looking forward to seeing Houston tomorrow night. And bam, we got two number one seeds going tomorrow night, but you don't have that tonight with both of the ones out in these brackets, Purdue and KU, both out. But it's going to be, I think, pitch battles tonight, really, really competitive games with. And just see how it's called, how it's officiated. If it's a parade to the free throw, then you got to make them to win. That's some analysis, isn't it?
Hey, that's the analysis people are here for, Brett.
That's it.
That's what we bring to the table.
We'll do this right up to 6 o'clock.
That's right. We'll see if Florida Atlantic uses their Australian rugby, what they learned over the week from Australian rugby against Tennessee. Jay's wearing a Tennessee sweatshirt today.
VFL.
I'm captain of the Vol Navy.
Vol Coast Guard.
No, just the Navy, Brian. It's very specific. It's the Vol Navy.
Okay.
The other day you called it the Army, too. No, they're just they're Navy.
National Guard.
No, they're the Navy.
Any other I'm missing?
Have y'all ever been down on the river to see the boats?
I've not.
On a game day?
I never have. I've only been to Knoxville. I have been to a football game in Knoxville. I went to the Oklahoma game, that double overtime thriller with Baker Mayfield against Oklahoma.
Wow,
that was a
great game.
I went back a while ago when they played Memphis, but I was so young I can't remember.
No, but I've never been to the river, Brett.
I've walked by it, but
it's something to see. Their game day scene. And I don't know who started the walks. I would give either Tennessee or Auburn credit in the SEC for the various walks, and if somebody's got something different on that, but now everybody has some kind of walk, where they walk through the fans, and it's great, and it really builds enthusiasm and momentum and creates a lot of fun for all the walks. But the Tennessee walk down Peyton Manning Pass is pretty good.
I've never seen that.
What do they call it? The Vol Walk,
Vol
right?
Walk.
That's it.
Everything. Tiger Walk.
What's the Auburn Walk called?
Tiger Walk. Auburn was close. I would think they're way up there in the creators of the walk.
And the one through the Grove is the Rebel Walk.
That's right.
Isn't that right?
Walk of Champions.
Walk of Champions.
Down the Walk of Champions. Yeah.
Evie Van Pelt runs the Rebel Walk.
That's right.
A different publication.
So publication, a little different. But yeah, we got a lot of local flavor tonight with Arkansas and Tennessee both playing, so that definitely piques the intrigue. I know for our brackets here on the show, the Gonzaga-UCLA game means a lot in terms of what's going to happen. So that's a big game tonight. I just think
almost everything for us.
Yeah.
If there's a couple of scenarios, if things lined up, that we could go into that last game, everybody tied in the tiebreaker, the score would matter. But it is far-fetched.
Well, I want to keep it far-fetched because I don't really want to get down to scores because I'm pretty sure I just made up two numbers and put them down.
Y'all are both mostly done if Gonzaga doesn't beat UCLA.
Fingers crossed.
I threw in the towel a while ago, I'm afraid. Like a boxer,
Oh, but you're not too far behind.
I think a little early for towel tossing.
Well,
keep that mouthpiece in and keep swinging.
No, I mean, the
NCAA
tournament came out, knocked me down. The official came over. He got to about 5 and then waved it off and said he's not getting up. that's kind of where I'm at.
That's
It's
too bad.
over.
That's right.
I'm still fighting. Still got a shot in there, maybe.
One night, I can't remember who it was that Tyson fought. I think it was Joe Frazier's son, and it was on big screen pay-per-view downtown at Ellis Auditorium, and me and two buddies went, and it was about 10 minutes before the fight was going to start. And we had great seats too, and we'd gone to the seats. And I said, "Hey, let me go to the beer line and get some more beers." They said, "All right." And so the beer line got kind of congested. And right when I came back out to the opening of the theater seating,
Sure.
the crowd's going crazy, and I'm going, "What happened?" And they both said, "It's over." I said,
man.
"It's over. I haven't seen a thing. I didn't see a punch." They said, "It's over."
Wow, that's bad luck. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I didn't see a punch thrown.
Oh man, I hate that. But hey, at least you were there. You experienced it.
And old big screen pay-per-view, that was fun atmospheres
Oh
too.
yeah, I'm sure.
We went to Cook Convention Center to see Duran Leonard No Mas, like the Tuesday night before Thanksgiving in 1980 at Cook Convention. The screen and the reception wasn't great. It was a little. Well, it may have been me fuzzy. The screen may have been fine.
Didn't wear your glasses that day or something?
Well, maybe other fuzzy
Maybe
things. I don't know.
something else.
I wasn't wearing glasses. I was blind, but I wasn't wearing glasses then.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't see though.
That was me from a couple months ago. But tonight we'll kick off the games with Michigan State, Kansas State still going on. They'll tip off before we're off the air. It's a 5:30 tip on TBS. I'm a little worried about this game because I feel like everybody is on Kansas State to win this game. They're the underdogs. I just feel like so many people are on the underdogs that it's turning them into the favorites that now I might want to bet on Michigan State.
I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah, it seems like
exactly.
it.
Greg Peterson, the great handicapper on Twitter, he's on Kansas State tonight. Thinks they should be favored by 4 points.
Really? See, everywhere I look, people are picking Kansas State. Might have to go the opposite way.
Interesting.
At 5:30 for what's trending, let's pick every side and every total. Y'all
Let's
want
do
to?
it.
I'm
Is that
ready.
okay?
I'm ready for it.
And we'll do that games at first because that'd be starting at about the time. But I don't think that'll sway many picks. Even though action early in a game last night caused a lot of controversy, didn't it? In Dallas, wow.
Were you talking about the teams being lined up, thinking it was Dallas's ball and?
All right, call was totally butchered, wasn't it?
I don't even know. I thought they called it.
I'm always the official apologist. I don't have one for you there.
Well, I thought
It was certainly mishandled.
Yeah, it seemed more mishandled because from the video, the clip I saw, it looked like the official pointed towards Golden State ball, and then immediately Dallas called a timeout, so he pointed towards Dallas's bench for a timeout. And so a lot of people thought it was.
So that's the explanation for the double pointing.
Mm-hmm. So
He was recognizing the timeout.
That's what at least what I saw on the internet was that's what he was doing, because then you could see Looney, when he points to Dallas, Looney starts freaking out like, you just pointed towards us, and he kind of like tries to calm him down and says,
be cool, man. I was just recognizing timeout.
I'm
He
pointing
did.
to the timeout.
Okay. I thought it was be cool, it's your ball.
Yeah.
Whatever he said.
Mm-hmm. Now, either way, I think there should have been a little more clarification probably to Dallas.
I mean, how often in an NBA timeout do the coaches and players not know who has the ball?
Great point.
I don't think I've ever seen that
Great point,
ever
Jay.
before.
Never.
Just great point. And again, we're talking a multi-billion-dollar business with a whole lot of scrutiny on it, not the least of which because of Tim Donaghy, that I just don't think there's any there. And to see Luka Doncic at the end of the game doing the Johnny Manziel money sign toward the refs like you're on the take, you cannot have that.
No.
You cannot have that cloud over your sport whatsoever. That needs to be met with a heavy suspension. We know fine will not bother them. It's just paper to a lot of them. But time away, and to see Mark Cuban down there on the court parading around at the table lobbying, I just can't imagine David Stern would allow this. I know Adam Silver loves to keep labor peace. I don't blame him. because no rain, no rainbows, no players. You don't have anything. And the NBA showed in the 99 lockout and again with the last one. They're not going to do the replacement player thing like the NFL tried, because everybody saw what happened with the NFL when they tried it. You can put people in Cowboys uniforms and in 49er uniforms and Packer uniforms. That doesn't make them Cowboys, Packers, and 49ers.
Yeah.
And you just cannot do it. And he likes to keep labor peace. I think he likes to be better buddies with the players than he does the owners, and the owners are his bosses.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine that tomorrow at some point, because Buddy Hield, it usually takes him about 2 days for NBA communications to send that tweet out and initiate that kind of thing. I would imagine. I don't know if Luka gets suspended. I think it's probably justified, but I just don't know if they'll do it. I could see a heavy fine for him. And in terms of suspensions for somebody, I could definitely see Mark Cuban, even though he's an owner, like you just said, Brett, I could see him not being allowed, at least on the sideline.
On the premises.
Yeah, for a period of time. I could see that coming out tomorrow.
Because, he doesn't mind fines. He has joked the whole time that, he's the best giver to the NBA charities ever. And it is just paper for sure. If it's paper to the players, it's just pennies to him. But you can't have that. You can't have the whole enterprise integrity question like that over a call, in the third quarter?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And didn't he put in challenging the call, or
he protested
the game? Do we have any update on that? Has anything
going nowhere?
Nowhere.
And I think that similarly, it won't be announced till tomorrow. It usually takes them about 2 days to do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that was a bad look. Can you guys imagine Robert Parra down on the court like that? Well, first of all, can you imagine Robert Parra at the building?
Might not recognize him if he's down on the court.
Security may stop. Sir, you're not allowed. I own the team. Oh, sorry. This is my building.
I definitely could not see him doing anything like that.
Or think about around sports. Almost any other owner, maybe Jerry Jones, maybe be that big a grandstander. You can't have that.
No, you can't. And it made it worse that it was the ESPN game last night, so it was the national televised game, so it was in front of a lot more people than it would be if it was just a regional
Were you
game.
watching live? I was at FedEx Forum. Were you watching live?
I wasn't watching live. I was watching the Grizzlies game when it actually happened, but it was all on Twitter and in the internet and stuff, so I was able to kind of catch up on it.
And a good ovation at FedEx Forum for Ja Morant every time he checked into the game. Deserved, I think. And supportive, I know. I can't imagine somebody there. If you're at FedEx Forum, why would you not be supportive? I mean, it shows you have a proclivity to probably A, like sports, B, like basketball, C, like the Grizzlies at worst in that order. Mm-hmm. So if you're there, of course you're going to be supportive, and many were. The Rockets, I like a couple of the Rockets' young pieces. They're in there with a bunch of teams. You get Wemby, you do something pretty smart with a veteran free agent presence, and a little seasoning, a little time, you got something.
I'm not familiar with a lot of their young guys because Jay doesn't let me watch the Rockets game.
It's a great point you made by there, because that's what I'm going to say. I said this to Brett before we started here, too, talking about it. I like
Şengün.
I like Şengün a lot. I think he can be a big contributor.
Kenyon Martin.
So I think Kenyon Martin's very skilled. I think they have a lot of skilled players, but Şengün is the only one, to me, that has demonstrated any sort of frustration with the way that they operate in Houston. I just have a hard time seeing guys coming out of there, if this being their entry point to the NBA, not caring about one side of the basketball and also not caring about winning and losing games. I just think that's poison for wherever they go next. It just does not. Point. Yeah. It just doesn't go with winning basketball to me.
Great point. I do think people can really get in that comfortable cocoon of losing. Whatever. First and 15th. Where's the paycheck? And that's why I suggested, along with Wemby, a veteran presence in free agency to come in there and be locker room sheriff and go, we're not going to enjoy 60 losses a year anymore.
Yeah. Well, I hope. Maybe if you get Wemby, then you can kind of start looking to being a competitive team, you bring somebody in. But, I mean, John Wall did that interview a couple of months ago where
– crapped all over.
Yeah, I mean, he was talking about how they wouldn't even let him be around the locker room anymore because he wasn't bought into their
not
losing
playing
ways.
Hard.
Yeah,
comfortability with losing.
Mm-hmm. So it's
Well, and the only example we have of somebody going somewhere else is Christian Wood for the Mavericks, and they brought him in there to be an interior presence, and they can't even put him on the floor because of how terrible he is at guarding. He has no practice at it for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
They can't even put him on they can't even put him on basketball.
I haven't been required to guard. Why do I have to now?
Exactly.
But maybe
great point, Jay Moore.
You know, maybe if you get Wembanyama, maybe you can start kind of turning that corner into we're not bottom dwellers anymore. We have the pieces. I don't know. It's interesting.
Up next with Skip and Shannon Sharp. Would Theo Pinson help him?
Ooh, he said he just needs the opportunity. That's what he said on a podcast the other day. So
Poor
maybe.
Theo Pinson, man.
Poor Theo. I feel bad for him.
Just to get taken apart by Dylan Brooks.
Dylan Brooks, he'll come after you. That's for sure. Let me set up today's show before we get into top and not top story of the day. At 3:30, Mark Wise from ESPN is going to join us to talk some college basketball with the Sweet 16 starting tonight. We'll get into all of that with him. We'll even get into some of the latest coaching hires that have happened across the country the past couple of days. At 3:45, we'll get back into this conversation about the Grizzlies and their win last night over the Houston Rockets. At 4 o'clock, we'll stick with the NBA with Keith Smith from Spa Track. He'll join us to talk about everything that's going on as the NBA starting to wind down, getting closer to playoff time. At 4:30, Blake Lovell from Blue Ribbon Yearbook will join us, talk some more college basketball. At that point, will only be about an hour until the first game tips off. At 5 o'clock, Greg Gaston will join us to talk some Tigers. We'll recap what happened last weekend in that game against Florida Atlantic and kind of his thoughts on what this offseason will look like for Penny Hardaway and his team. At 5:30, we'll do What's Trending, and in that, we'll go through all the games tonight. We'll do some picks for the 4 games tonight in the Sweet 16. Then at 5:45, we'll wrap it up like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. But we're sitting in the Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Preseason patio and pool sales are going on right now, so buy now and save big with the area's largest selection of patio furniture. Pool season is just around the corner, so buy now to get ahead of that summertime rush with the early bird pricing. Free layaway and special financing are available, so be ready to enjoy your backyard as soon as spring hits. And mention this ad to get half off both delivery and installation at Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40.
Spring has sprung for sure, Brian, and hide the kids, boy, because I broke out the shorts today. I broke out the out of bounds steaks, the white steaks, and I needed eye black on just for myself. It was quite frightening. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway, and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-334-9673. Great offers on all 2023 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2023 flagship LS500. You'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day is we got Sweet 16 action starting tonight. 4 games tonight, another 4 games tomorrow night. We start games at 5:30 on TBS, Michigan State versus Kansas State, Arkansas versus UConn, Florida Atlantic versus Tennessee, and then we'll round out the night with an 8:45 tip on CBS between Gonzaga and UCLA. I think, I was looking at all the games over the next 2 days, and you can even kind of look at the point spread where Vegas has a lot of these games. I think these are going to be the more competitive games. Obviously, you never know what's going to happen. It's the NCAA tournament. Anything can happen. I'm sure all of these games will be tight and competitive, but these really seem like the ones that could be really back and forth from start to finish. So I'm excited. I have some sort of interest in every one of these games, so I'm excited for the games to start here in just a couple hours.
Brian, great take. I think point spread-wise, all these are coin toss games. I mean, I just don't see any of these as the virtual locks of all time or anything like that. 10,000 star lock of the year. I don't see anything like that. And the great Bruce Marshall admonition about sports wagering. It's always dynamic. It is never static.
Yep.
I know riding that under was great last weekend for a lot of people. That doesn't mean it continues tonight. Be really, really careful out there. When wagering on these games, I'm with you. Top story, 16 down to 12 tonight. We'll eliminate 4 teams. We'll eliminate 4 more tomorrow night, and I think tonight 4 great matchups, and all 4 could be battle royales, step-over toe holes, pile drivers, and the potential for a lot of whistles. Michigan State and Kansas State at the Garden, Arkansas, UConn in Sin City. Thoughts and prayers to my friends out there in Vegas watching the Razorbacks. A lot could go wrong in Vegas.
Yeah.
UT and FAU at the Garden in the second game. No way the Minders at the NCAA let Tennessee play like that 2 games in a row. They won't allow it in a classic nightcap in Las Vegas, a place where nightcaps are, well, they continue to the wee hours of the morning. Between Gonzaga and UCLA, these 2 coaches, Mark Few and Mick Cronin, they really go after each other. They had a classic 2 years ago in the national semis, and I think it's time for Mark Few to cash one in. He's got to be holding that trophy.
Not top story of the day.
They're morning caps at a certain point, right? Not night caps anymore.
That's a good point.
Wee hours.
Sunrise caps.
That's right.
My not top story of the day is what the Grizzlies did last night, a 130 to 125 win over Houston. It was close late. I don't think a lot of people expected to be in a close game with an 18-54 Houston Rockets team, but it was close towards the end. But the Grizzlies able to pull it out, make it 4 straight in a row. Also, put a lock on the Southwest Division for back-to-back seasons. So definitely a lot of good. Ja Morant back last night, 17 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds off the bench. Luke Kennard was knocking down some threes. Jaren Jackson, 37 points. It was all around a really good game, and getting the win definitely made it a little more sweet.
And the 2 big bodies, Roddy and Lofty.
That's right, yeah.
With a lot of run last night. My not top story, I hope I don't lose my mind over this. I really do, Bryant. I warned you earlier today. I was about to. I warned Jay Morgan I was about to. I guess if it was top story, would be full losing it. So since it's not top story, I won't. But I really hope all the people that were also self-congratulatory about the Goofy World Baseball Classic, and I hope they're happy now. Jose Altuve will miss 2 months for the world champs, for Dusty Baker's Astros, the champs of baseball, and now Adam Wainwright's going to miss about the same. They're saying a couple of weeks. We know what that turns into. We know a couple of weeks turns into a couple of months, especially for a 40-something. And I watched the press media availability today with Adam Wainwright, and I think he thinks it's more on the serious end than the lighter end. And to hear all the people talking about the World Baseball Classic, it was good for the game and that it grew baseball. I don't even really what does that really mean that it grew baseball? I mean, it won't mean for me the extra inning package at DirecTV goes down, does it?
Nope.
It doesn't mean that at the team store, hey, because the game has grown so much from the World Baseball Classic, everything's 30% off in here. There's no way this has been good for the rank and file baseball fan. Here's who it's been good for. Big game Bobby Manfred, and it's been good for the DeWitts and the Steinbrenners and John Henry.
Yep.
That's who it's been good for. It hadn't been good for anybody that's wanting to go to a couple games a year.
Brett, I'm just glad I got you excited about it for one day yesterday. Outside of that, you've been very
I told you I was going to lose my mind.
not into it. You did. You called it, but it is awful that way. I mean, I said, go get Michael Wacha, free agency. Have another pitcher there.
Michael Walker's not with anybody?
He's with the Padres now, but he was a free agent.
Yeah.
I was saying go out and get him. I mean, it might be a good arm, but now I
Got
guess
Jake Woodford to replace him in the rotation.
I love Jake Woodford. Maybe one of my favorite pitchers in the Cardinal system is Jake Woodford.
Okay.
Don't
I
you
hope you're
agree,
right.
Jay?
Well, Brian, you don't harbor any unrealistic resentment, that's for sure.
No, not at all. Not in the slightest. Nothing personal at all.
Y'all tell me now with Wainwright injured and look, he's going to miss at least a month, maybe 2. Well, the season's only 6 months, so we're going to miss almost a third of his last year over him getting hurt. And I hear so many people going, oh, Brent, it could have happened any time. He could have been working out in St. Louis and it happened. It sure could have. But I know when it did happen. It didn't, and it happened when he was not on St. Louis Cardinal time, and that's all I care about.
That's a fair argument. I think a lot of people would say you would like, if something like this is going to happen, to kind of be on site and kind of have that being monitored. But
like Reese Hoskins.
Like Reese Hoskins today.
I've had a friend of mine that I sent. I'm mad as heck about it. Mm-hmm. And Brad, Reese Hoskins got hurt today. I said, yeah, but he got hurt on Philadelphia Philly time.
Yeah, that's a good point. It was not a good pitching rotation for Team USA anyway. In terms of arms,
who's opening day starter for the Cardinals now?
Miles Michaelis. Jay doesn't even want to think about that.
What an incredible excuse this is going to be for Cardinals fans now.
Oh, yeah.
When really it should. How do you go 3 years and not signing? We don't need to get into it.
I mean,
that's right, Jay Morgan. That's right. I'm about to blow.
Great
I'm
question.
About to blow.
Well, I don't want you to blow. We just got the show kicked off. We got 2.5 more hours.
And a good friend and a great advertiser sent in to me. Damn right. He's mad as I am, and he loves them too.
Well, I think good reason to be mad because that pitching rotation is not very good for the Cardinals right now. But let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk some college basketball with Mark Wise from ESPN. That's next.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
You don't think about a lawyer until something goes wrong. When that happens, let attorney Stephen Leffler fight for you and your family. You don't leave the house in the morning expecting an accident, but it happens every day. A car wreck, you slip and fall, or you get accused of a crime and find yourself fighting for your reputation. Stephen Leffler has been fighting for you for over 35 years. Don't do it alone. Let Stephen Leffler fight your battles for you. Call Stephen Leffler, 901-527-8830, or go to LefflerLaw.com. Here to fight for you and your loved ones.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Call me, 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
Are you looking to lease a commercial space for your business? Call Stephen Hoffman. Are you a landlord looking to have your space leased? Call Stephen Hoffman. Maybe you're looking to buy or sell commercial real estate. If so, you want a professional broker looking out for your best interest, and that broker is Stephen Hoffman with Myers Commercial Real Estate. Stephen is a Memphis native who knows his market well and only works the commercial side of real estate. He works for a great firm that has been locally owned and operated in Memphis for almost 40 years. Whether representing tenants, landlords, or investors alike, you are sure to get great market analysis, access to on and off-market listings, and a tough negotiator on your behalf. Call 901-761-5595 and ask for Stephen Hoffman. You can also find him on the web at MyersCRE.com. That's MyersCRE.com. Stephen Hoffman with Myers Commercial Real Estate. Representing your real estate business is his business. Call Stephen Hoffman, 901-761-5595.
Mitsubishi Motors Spring Sales Event is on at Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Come test drive the all-new 2023 Outlander plug-in hybrid electric with 420 total range, 64 combined MPG, and 38 minutes best charging time. And you may be eligible for up to $7,500 federal EV incentive and $1,500 lease cash. Come check it out at Gossett Mitsubishi. Plus 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander with 3 rows of seating for up to 7 people. We Gossett at $499 a month or buy for $34,055. Looking for some peace of mind in your new ride? How about Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty? 2023 Outlander, $499 a month or get 1.9 for 36 months and test drive the all-new 2023 Outlander plug-in hybrid electric. That's Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, or shop online at memphismitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we Gossett and Gossett Motor Cars.
Outlander PCO 12158 MSRP 34555 includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 3/31/2023. Dealer stock only.
Make your next grill your last with the Big Green Egg. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Save money on eating out, fuel costs, and replacing expensive grills that cannot stand up to the Big Green Egg. Ready to cook in only 10 to 15 minutes with cook temperatures below 200, above 700, and anywhere in between with ease. Change your at-home cooking experience for life. Go to shop.biggreenegg.com. Make your next grill your last with the Big Green Egg. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Save money on eating out, fuel costs, and replacing expensive grills that cannot stand up to the Big Green Egg. Ready to cook in only 10 to 15 minutes with cook temperatures below 200, above 700, and anywhere in between with ease. Change your at-home cooking experience for life. Go to shop.biggreenegg.com.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you, and joining us now. Let's talk a little college basketball with the Sweet 16 tipping off tonight. Mark Wise from ESPN is with us now. Mark, thanks for joining us, and a lot of really good games tonight. We were kind of talking about it earlier with the games tonight. It seems like these are going to be some really, really competitive games, some back-and-forth games from start to finish. What game kind of sticks out to you that might be the most competitive, the most that fans should probably keep an eye on tonight?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on again. I think there are a couple that jump out at me right away. Number one is the UConn-Arkansas game. In terms of, I've said all along that Arkansas, I think, has Final Four talent. UConn has found their groove here late in the year. I think this is a fascinating matchup. It's interesting because when I'm looking at my bracket as I picked it and started it last week, I don't know about you guys, but the left side of my bracket looks like an English paper that I wrote in college. It has so many red marks on it. Now, the right side's okay. I'm okay on the right side. I got both Final Four teams still alive, and one of those is UConn. So that's the reason why I'm going to pick that game first.
Mark, I'm saying my left side, just hideous. My right side, pretty good. I've got all 4 Final Four remaining, and that includes Kansas State and UCLA, and they both could go down tonight. But I want to applaud you. I'm watching a game in early December, and we are in a fascination of who's in, who's out, really from opening night now. And I think it drives good publicity for the sport. I do. I'm not opposed to it. I like the bracketology. I like the guessing. But I saw you early December, and I don't think it was Richard Cross, but whomever was the play-by-play person came back and they had a graphic of yours of SEC teams kind of by layers, and you had potential. You had a Final Four layer. You had Bama, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Kentucky. 3 out of 4 ain't bad in December.
Well, again, what is it, a blind squirrel every once in a while? First of all, I like teams that are, I've said this all along, you've got to be in Kim Palm's top 40 offensive and defensive efficiency. You just have to be. And I really like the teams that you might be in the top 40 defense, but your offense is even better. Or you're within if you're within 8 or 10 spots on one side or the other, then I consider that kind of level. Alabama's built that way. Tennessee is not built that way. Arkansas is not built that way. And so that's why I didn't have them coming out any further than I do. But, the Tennessee game tonight, Tennessee will probably commit 3 fouls in the layup line. That's just who they are. That's their DNA. That's the way they want to play. They want to make this I was in Orlando last Thursday for the first round, so I got to see all these teams play. That was kind of interesting. And to completely take Duke out of the game physically, like Tennessee did, was really impressive. And speaking of being there in person, I wanted to share this. I've been very fortunate. Well, I'm very fortunate, and I'm old. So I've been very fortunate that I have seen some improbable, incredible moments in the NCAA tournament. I was there for Jimmy V winning at NC State in Albuquerque in '83. I was there at the perfect game that Villanova beat Georgetown. I was there for the back-to-back titles, doing Florida radio on the back-to-back years, 06 and 07. I was in the building when Villanova beat North Carolina at the buzzer. But as incredible as those moments were, I got to tell you, the Furman, Virginia Indy goes right up there with the rest of those in terms of a just improbable finish in an NCAA tournament. I think everybody in the arena was like Kevin Harlan, did we really see what we just saw? So from that standpoint, that's why it's both the beauty and the curse of the tournament, as I've said for many years.
Yeah, that was one of the best games of the tournament, I'd say, with how the ending went down. But one game that I'm really excited for tonight, UCLA and Gonzaga.
Yeah.
You talked about the Kim Pom. I mean, this is going to be a game where Gonzaga, number one in adjusted offensive efficiency on Kim Pom, versus UCLA, which is number 2 in adjusted defensive efficiency on Kim Pom. I mean, what do you think is going to be what each team needs to focus on in this game? And do you think that UConn defense is going to be able to slow down this elite Gonzaga offense?
Well, again, you would like to think, and again, one of the ingredients that I think you've got to have to make a Final Four run is you got to be healthy. And obviously, we all know about UCLA being dinged up, and whether or not Singleton's going to play might have an impact, but they're missing some pieces. And I just have to think at some point in time that's going to catch up to them. I think the pace of the game is going to be fascinating. It's going to be a prelude to the pace between Alabama and San Diego State on Friday. It's the same kind of tug of war as it relates to tempo. Gonzaga's going to want this game in the 80s. UCLA is going to want this game in the 60s. And I just think there is value, and having seen so many teams in person, not only throughout the year, but then in person in Orlando last week, I watched firsthand teams play uptight. And I just think that maybe the under the radar, and when was the last time we said Gonzaga was under the radar in an NCAA tournament? I just think they're playing a little freer. I think they're playing without the weight of the world on their shoulders. I think they get by. It'll be a great game, but I think they get by, and I think UConn gets by. So I think it's going to be UConn and Gonzaga coming out of the West there.
Mark, I know you have a lot of friends in the sport, and there's a reason why. You're a really good person. So I don't want you to kind of pick favorite children, but do you have a coach that if it was his time, you wouldn't mind seeing him get one?
Wow, that's such a great question. First of all, my DNA always goes to the little guy. So my first choice would be somebody like Mitch Henderson, and I think he has no chance of winning an NCAA tournament. I think we make way too much of a guy that, and woman for that matter, who wins a NCAA title. Like that is the validation for calling them a great coach. So I get it. I get the public perception of the NCAA tournament. So from that point of view alone, yeah, I'd like to see Mark Few win it. Me
too. I would love to see Mark Few win one and kind of be able to be in that category with elite coaches. On the same topic of coaches, we've had a handful of coaching changes already take place. The two biggest being Ed Cooley to Georgetown and Rick Pitino to St. John's. What did you make of those two moves?
Well, again, I think doesn't, and I guess this comes back to this thought of mine. Doesn't every job have a shelf life? Mm-hmm. Isn't there such a thing as if you're young enough to make another move with 10 years looking down the road? I don't blame the Ed Cooley thing. I think, all things considered, Georgetown's probably a better job, quote unquote. Hope there's no Providence alumni listening today. The Rick Pitino thing for me in St. John's, that seems like a no-brainer. I don't care if he's 70, 60, 50. I mean, you know what you're getting, both on the court and the baggage. So from that standpoint, I think it's a move in the right direction for them. I think Pitino is coaching younger than his 70 years of age. So I like both moves for different reasons.
Mark, a friend of this show, and somebody I bet you know very well in Orlando, Matt Murschel with the Orlando Sentinel, he tweeted out today, according to the Orlando Convention and Visitors Bureau, Chamber of Commerce people, the economic impact for the Orlando games was almost $6 million for the city. We're seeing record TV ratings, almost the Marquette Michigan State game had almost 11 million viewers.
Right,
Mark. Sometimes I lapse into college basketball becoming nicheified. 6 million for the city of Orlando dropped into it, and 11 million viewers. That ain't a niche, that's two ain'ts. I got many red X's for English on my side too.
Well, let's all remember what the NCAA funds out of the NCAA tournament. I mean, they fund the entire rest of the athletic sporting world, with the exception of football, obviously. Again, first of all, it still pales in comparison to football. We all understand that. But I've said this all year. I think I said this last time I was on with you guys. I don't think our game's ever been better. I don't think it's ever been older. Mm-hmm. I don't think we've ever had more parity. Now, fans don't want to hear that. Or here's what I get a lot. Fans will go, yeah, that's probably correct, but that shouldn't impact our team. What?
Yeah, so, it's almost impossible to insulate yourself against it.
Yeah, I mean, ask the people in Lexington right now. Ask the people in Tucson right now about parity, or in West Lafayette. I mean, it can happen to anybody. So when you have, the coach in me is evaluating right now the fact that our three-point shooting is so poor. It's so poor in this tournament. I think so far in the tournament, it's right around 30.8%. All teams, all games so far. Well, why is that? That's what makes me ask that question. Why is that? I think one of the big reasons is because our game is older. Older players don't get lost on defense. Older players follow a scouting report. Older players understand offside, weak side, getting through screens. They just are better defenders, and as a consequence, with all the switching going on, I don't think defenses are ahead of the offenses, and I don't think offenses are getting very good looks, and that's the reason why this percentage is so low.
Should we move the three-point line up?
Definitely not up. Definitely not up. I mean, you might make the argument, if anything, should move it back. And now you're venturing into my world in terms of the NCAA. What do we need to do next to enhance our tournament even more? And I've been saying this for a while. The NCAA tournament needs to expand. No, it doesn't need to expand to 96 or 128. I said all along we should have another Dayton. There should be another first four in Boise. Invite 8 more teams, but it has to come with a stipulation that 2 of those 8 or 3 of those 8 have to come from outside the power whatever conferences. And people will say, well, you can't do that. You can't guarantee spots. Well, football already does, don't they? With the New Year's Day 6.
Mm-hmm.
So that's already going on. So who wouldn't want to see, like Liberty didn't get in the tournament. They got beat in the conference final by Kennesaw State. Who wouldn't want to see that? Who wouldn't want to see Dayton get in, having lost the A-10 finals to VCU? So I'm all for it. I think first of all, I think is definitely going to expand sooner versus later. And I just think there's ways to do that without interrupting the integrity of the 3-week window where our sport captures our country in terms of an athletic mindset.
That's an interesting, especially kind of getting those more mid-major teams involved, kind of giving them more of an opportunity to be a part of the NCAA tournament is definitely interesting. But, Mark, thanks for joining us, and enjoy the games tonight, and let's do this again soon.
That'd be great, guys. Thanks. Enjoy the madness.
Thanks, Mark.
We will. Thank you, Mark Wise. And I mean provocative and so very – you can hear the love of the sport. And it's out of love that he's doing that. That's the first expand the bracket idea I've heard that I go, I can think about that one.
Yeah.
I want to think about that one, and he's thought it out. Thank you very much, Mark Wise. We will. We'll try to catch up with Mark again next week when it's down to 4. I mentioned earlier a very great sponsor of ours has the same passion for what happened today with Adam Wainwright as I do. And I bring that up to mention the great Collierville and Germantown Commissary, where Walker Taylor has worked so hard for over 40 years to build what he's built, and he's done it because of the great customers. And he knows that, and his staff, his associates, and the people that work so hard for him. But he wouldn't have done it without all the people that love the commissary like we all do. And you can tell it with the crowds there and with the great food there. And what a night that you can spend it outside on the patio at the Collierville Commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar and watch all the games out there until about 8 o'clock or so tonight. And it's perfect for a big group, for a Tennessee group that wants to get together, a neighborhood or old friends from school want to get together tonight somewhere and watch the Big Orange. It's the perfect place. Wish the Tigers were playing tonight. We all do. Walker sure does. Proud University of Memphis. Then Memphis State alum. If you're craving an easier way to order, you can text commissary to 33733 for that Memphis-style barbecue and ribs that screams the Memphis way, the slow-cooked way. Start with the appetizers. Build to the main entree. Start with the tamales or the cheese plate or the barbecue nachos invented at the Germantown Commissary in the early 80s, and then dig into the ribs or the shoulder, chopped or pulled on a plate, on a sandwich, all the sides, deviled eggs, slaw, beans, bread, and you can even order it by the pound or a 6-pack or an 8-pack or a 12-pack. One of the challenges you're going to have is to save room for dessert. If you don't save room for desserts, you can get the whole pies, the whole cakes. You can get those like the lemon icebox pie, the strawberry cake, the banana pudding. 901-754-5540. 901-754-5540. Online at commissarybbq.com in Collierville and Germantown. I mentioned the party areas, orders to go, catering, tailgating. And you can go there tonight and have the perfect night with this great weather at the new Collierville Commissary at Houston and Levy and Poplar, or the original in Germantown.
Let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about the Grizzlies and their win last night against the Rockets. That's next on Sports Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, folks. Good news from the Chevy Sheriff for truck buyers. It's truck month at the Sunrise Chevy Ranch. Rebates up to $2,000 and discounts high as $7,000. Bankrupt, slow pay, bad credit? It's okay. Sunrise specializes in secondary financing. Need a good used truck? Remember, Sunrise Chevy specializes in used cars and trucks under $15,000. Chevy trucks cost less at the Sunrise Chevy Ranch, partner. Find new roads to 385 in Houston, Levy, and Collierville. Check out the all-new Sunrise Truck Corral. Huge selection of nothing but trucks. All makes, all models, all prices, all trucks, all the time. Next to Sunrise Wolf Chase.
Attention homeowners, it's Freeburg at Conway Services. Now is the perfect time to replace that old inefficient HVAC system with a new energy-efficient heating and cooling system from Conway. For a limited time, you'll receive a free furnace with select new cooling systems, plus a free Nest thermostat. Visit conwayservices.com for details, terms, and conditions. License number 64210, 64365 EAS, MS 19668.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Intelligence runs in the family. Innovation runs in the family. Extraordinary runs in the family. The 2023 Mercedes-Benz SUV family. Each of the impressive models feature world-class innovations ranging from MBUX voice-activated assistance technology to safety features like Attention Assist that can detect drowsiness and alert you when it's time to take a break. The SUVs include the sleek GLB with room to seat up to 7. The category-leading GLE. How about GLS, one of the smartest SUVs on the road? The capable and stylish GLC and the striking yet robust GLA. Each model pack cutting-edge technology every driver deserves. Best-in-class technology, too. Leaders in innovation and intelligence not yet seen from SUVs. A family of distinct models, all equally impressive. The 2023 Mercedes-Benz family of SUVs. Extraordinaries one test drive away. Learn more at MBUSA.com.
Do not. Do so. You do not love Central Barbecue more than me.
I've been talking about Central Barbecue for years. I was the first person to do these spots.
Well, I may be new doing them, but I want to shout from the rooftops just how much I love it.
Okay, smart guy. What are the sides at Central Barbecue?
Easy. Home-cooked pork rinds, home-cooked potato chips, greens, green beans, barbecue beans, onion rings, fries, and potato salad.
Lucky guess. What can you buy by the pound, huh?
Beef brisket, pulled pork, smoked turkey, my favorite, pulled chicken, smoked chicken, and barbecue bologna. Ha!
We're out of time.
I could do this all day.
All 650 acquisition fee, 30,000 miles, 20 cents excess mileage. Sold P7866 988, MSRP 22,945, K5 PG 200 400, MSRP 26,455, Sportage PG 107 225, MSRP 29,790. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance 200. Excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 3/31/2023. Dealer stock only. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Hey, Jeff Allen, you ready to give Memphis your best deals at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah?
That's what I always do, Randy. How about a 2023 Kia Soul LX, only $333 a month and $27.99 due at signing. Looking for luxury? 2023 Kia K5 LXS, $362 a month or $31.99 due at signing. Both 36-month lease.
Or how about the 2023 Kia Sportage LX all-wheel drive?
We got it at $381 per month, 36-month lease, and $34.99 due at signing.
And don't forget Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. And Jeff, what if I don't see exactly what I want?
I'll order it for you, Randy, so whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
Online, KiaMountMoriah.com.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you. And we talked a little bit about the Grizzlies and their win last night to open the show, but a 130 to 125 win over the Houston Rockets. Brett, you were in attendance, and yesterday we were talking about how it sounded like it was going to be a good crowd. You talked about, seemed like every time Ja came in that he got a good ovation, but what was the crowd like last night?
It was terrific. I mean, I didn't think it could be more crowded, more density. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking about brainwaves. I'm talking about the crowd size, the totality of it, than Monday night. It was, and they say it's going to be even more so Friday. I don't know how it could be. I mean, because it was just not hardly any open seating last night. And so fun, you could feel the electricity in the air. You can feel playoff fevers really starting to build. And also late in the game, felt a lot of trepidation. I thought, oh no, don't let this happen. And now, and Elliot Perry made this point post game last night, and it was so smart. A real sign of a high level professional team. And if they don't, it's not a lack of it. But it's hard to beat anybody back-to-back games. Mm-hmm. I mean, now one good thing, a very young Houston team now sitting around, same city, couple of days, season's over. They've already got tee times and cabanas booked in Cabo. How motivated are they Friday night?
Yeah.
And Dylan Brooks back.
That's true.
The difference for me with Houston is that it probably, for them, it probably takes the hurt, I guess, off of losing because they're going to score 120, 130 points in a loss.
Yeah.
Because of how little defense they play.
125.
So what they had, they had 4 players score 20 points last night. Is that right?
It was something, and I thought it was big late in the game. His 5th and 6th fouls were so dumb on Sengun. One was just a two-handed push in the back that there's just no way the ref can miss that. And getting him out of there, I thought was important. It did feel like the Rockets have that pervasive aura around their team of, I got mine.
Yeah.
I got 22. What of it?
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of look at Kenyon Martin, 31, Şengün, 25, Jalen Green, 32. Then you got Jabari Smith with 16 and Kevin Porter with 14. So, I mean, it is kind of that mindset of.
That's why I told you can't watch them anymore, Brian.
Their bench combined for 7 points.
We can't.
Is it not allowed to watch the Rockets? Can I go Friday night?
He just won't let me watch him because I fell in love with them.
Yeah, he
very
went on
quickly.
a stint, and I did the same thing last year. I went on a stint. I watched too much of the Pistons. I had to initiate what I called a PPP, a personal Pistons prohibition. I had to do the same thing for the Bryant with the Rockets. I mean, we just can't support this kind of behavior in the NBA.
I applied for a PPP loan after COVID.
Yeah, this is something different, I think.
It's different.
Okay. I mean, you know, with all the college basketball games, I would watch like maybe one NBA game, and
it would always be the Rockets.
Well, everyone was saying the Rockets were the what's it called?
Hey, Jay Morgan was the personal promoter of Sengun.
He loved Şengün. That's what got me to start watching him. And I was like, this guy's good.
Yeah, we got to get him out of there.
I like the other guys on this team, Jalen Green. I like Jalen Green a lot.
I get Sengun highlights on Jay Morgan's Twitter feed.
Oh, I have a thread. It used to be at the top. I still got it going.
It's a very popular thread.
We got to get Şengün out of there. We got to get him on a team that we care about.
Where's that bell? We need the bell today.
That's right.
So
now, I'm not bragging, and anytime anybody leads with that, if they're getting ready to do.
You're bragging.
I'm getting ready to brag.
Go for it.
Took my record in person at Grizzlies games to 11-1.
That is a great point. I don't know. I think, Brett, you're doing a disservice to hashtag #GrizzFan by not going to every single home game.
I saw Jason Wexler pregame and bragged to him my record, and he kind of just patted me on the head, like, nice record, little man. I mean, he really. I think he thought I was playing for something.
I think it's a great record. I think it's a record you should be proud of. You should be at more games.
Proud of it.
Maybe they should let you go on the flight with the teams and be at every game. Like,
oh, that's how we sell it.
Yeah.
I get yourself on the plane.
Yeah, get on the plane, and then you could report live. We could do live look-ins from the plane every day. Every road game. I think it's a good idea, but we need to get to a break. But before we do that, weekend is just around the corner. It'll be here before you know it, and I know you're looking for a night out, so let me point you into the direction of 117 Prime. Located at 117 Union Avenue, opening 4 p.m. daily, 117 Prime offers perfectly cooked steaks, cooked to your liking over hickory wood for the best flavor in town. And the meat, it's regionally sourced for the best taste, so you don't have to worry about it traveling cross-country like at some of these other restaurants. Pair your steak with one of their award-winning wines or switch it up with their wine of the month. If you're not a fan of beef, no problem. 117 Prime also offers outstanding seafood like oysters, shrimp, and lobster. Also, get down there right now to enjoy their happy hour from 4 to 6, Tuesday through Saturday, for the best happy hour that downtown Memphis has to offer. To make reservations, head over to 117prime.com or call 901-433-9851. That's 901-433-9851 for 117 Prime. Let's get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk some more NBA with Keith Smith from Spa Track. That's next on Sports Time.
The Showboats are back in Memphis.
We can't wait to have you for the USFL.
Ticket prices start at just $10 for their long-awaited homecoming season. April 15th starts a new era of pro football at the Liberty Bowl when the Showboats seek to reclaim their USFL legacy. Bring the whole family and don't miss the Showboats' historic return.
It's a touchdown!
Buy your tickets today at theusfl.com.
The tournament is heating up, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's because right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/win and sign up today to claim your no-sweat first bet. Then you can wager on everything from the point spreads to which team will be cutting down the net. all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So don't miss your shot at a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/win to sign up with FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline 1-800-899-9789.
Come celebrate the savings with Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the Pike. It's Ram Truck Month and the Jeep Celebration event, so we're ready to rock. 2022 Jeep Renegade $5,000 off. 2022 Dodge Charger $6,000 off. And 2023 Grand Cherokee El Laredo with third row seating $7,000 off. Plus 2022 Fiat 500X $4,000 off. Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the Pike says you won't find a better deal anywhere else. And if we don't have it, Gossett will order it today. So drive past the rest and come to the best at Gossett on the Pike or shop online at GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Fiat 500X, NP 98268, MSRP 30,950, Renegade NPN 95921, MSRP 32130, Charger number NH261941, MSRP 35630, Cherokee PH794494, MSRP 46765. Includes all rebates and incentives, excludes tax time and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 3/31/23. Dealer stock only.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Call me, 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
Figure is different from all other refinancing that I've experienced. Hi, I'm Chaz Ryan, and I use Figure for a home equity line of credit. I found Figure, and it was a very easy application to make. My loan was funded within 7 to 10 days.
Join Chaz and the 50,000 other happy customers. Figure out your finances at Figure.com. Figure Lending, LLC. Equal Opportunity Lender. NMLS 1717824. Terms and conditions apply. Visit Figure.com for more information.
Everyone's getting excited about March. Crazy.
Don't you mean madness?
No, crazy. You know the Crazy Coupe.
The Crazy what?
The Crazy Coupe. 7199 Highway 64 between Appling and Kirby Whitten. Not only do they have the best chicken wings in Memphis, they got 27 crazy flavors to choose from. You can even buy their crazy sauce and seasoning.
That sounds delicious, but what's crazy about the Crazy Coupe?
Their prices. Right now, you can get 3 whole wings or 6 party wings, regular fry and drink for $9.99.
Now that's a crazy good price.
I think the wings are so good at the Crazy Coupe, they'll change the games in March to March Crazy.
That's crazy enough. It just may work.
The Crazy Coupe, 7199 Highway 64 between Appling and Kirby Whitten. Family owned and operated, and coming soon, a second location opening up on Ridgeway just off Poplar. The Crazy Coupe, with 27 crazy flavors to choose from. You'd be crazy not to visit the Coupe.
Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show. Right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM. Your Mid-South Sports Station.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253 DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah. Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Brian Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you. And to start the second hour on this Thursday, Keith Smith from Spa Track joins us to talk some NBA. Keith, thanks for joining us. And I want to start off with the Grizzlies. They got a 130-125 win over the Houston Rockets last night in Ja Morant's first game back. We were talking maybe yesterday or the day before, or sometime earlier this week, about the Grizzlies going into the playoffs and kind of what team they would most want to see in that first round. Kind of looking at it, what team do you think gives the Grizzlies the best shot to make it to the next round out of kind of the teams that are sitting around those play-in games?
That's a really good question. I would probably say anybody but the Warriors, because of the history there. I know there's some who are like, hey, look, we want another shot at them, and we want to go. But I think let's avoid that if we can. But so I think, it's hard because part of me says, maybe you want to see Oklahoma City squeak through there, and that's a team you might want to go against, or maybe Utah. They could get up to that 7 seed maybe, and Memphis is sitting at the 2. I think that's probably the kind of team you're looking at because, in the end, it sounds great to say, like, I want to beat this team, I want to beat that team. But what you really want is the easiest path for your playoffs to continue.
Yeah, and Keith, I agree. You're right. So fundamentally correct. But there is something about you got to vanquish that team. In college football, Georgia had to get through Bama. I think tonight Gonzaga's got to vanquish UCLA. And years ago, Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars and the Bad Boys, they had to get through Boston. Then Chicago had to get through them. I don't look forward to a first-round matchup with Golden State, but I do think for the Grizzlies to flex a little, they gotta go through the best.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to that. I think there's also, I'd rather play the Warriors earlier than later, because if it gets later in the playoffs, they're going to get that kind of rhythm going. They're going to be feeling pretty good and in that. But it's just, for me, give me the easier path to as deep of a run as I can get. And hey, then if I happen to come across my, the team I got to beat or feel like I got to beat, so be it. We'll get through them then. But there is definitely truth to that, where it becomes, all right, that's the team that's been here. They've been there, done that. I think that exists a little bit less in the NBA now. Is we see teams, they kind of only last together about 4 or 5 seasons or so, and then maybe, they break up from there. But yeah, I think no matter what, we're looking at a Western Conference playoffs that's going to be full of really entertaining and intriguing matchups.
Jack Nicklaus had to knock off Arnold Palmer. Phil Mickelson had to he didn't come close to knocking off Tiger Woods. Bad correlation.
Yeah, there's definitely some truth in that one, too.
Yeah.
Keith, we were talking kind of opening the show about last night on ESPN, Warriors versus Dallas, and kind of the whole play where they call it out of bounds, and then Dallas comes out of the huddle thinking that they have the ball, and they're on the complete other side of the court, and Golden State inbounds it right under their basket and lays it up and in. After the game, the Mavericks came out and said that they're going to file a formal protest of the loss to the Warriors. What did you make of that whole scenario? And we all kind of agreed that we don't think anything's going to happen out of this protest, but do you kind of agree that probably nothing's going to come about from this protest?
Yeah, nothing's going to come out of that because, so one thing is, I think having watched the replay, it's very clear that the official points Warriors ball, the Mavericks take the timeout, then he points Mavericks timeout. And that seems very clear to me. Now, you could say the officials should have given, the Mavs, hey, what are you doing? Like, it's Warriors ball on this end of the floor, but there's only so far they're going to go with that. I mean, it's not their responsibility to know that. And as far as the protest goes, I think that's where the NBA will come down on this again. And Mark Cuban, comments were way off base as far as this is the worst non-call we've ever seen. That was just nonsense. And we've only seen 2 successful protests in the last 40-plus years of this league. And one of them was a complete egregious error where they said Shaquille O'Neal fouled out of a game, Miami against Atlanta, and he'd only had 5 fouls. So the Heat protested it. But the funny thing about that one is by the time they made that game up, Shaquille O'Neal was no longer on the Miami Heat anymore. He'd already been traded. So that became a whole other thing, and the score never actually changed. They played 51 seconds before they met again in another game, and that's just how it ended.
Wow, that is great recall, Keith. And Shaq's quotes out of that were some of the most classic quotes of all time. I was a lot hard on the commissioner about an hour ago about this very topic. You cannot have Luka Doncic doing the money sign toward the referees like they were on the take. You can't have Mark Cuban out there protesting as much as he did. But this commissioner deserves a lot of credit for this. You know why that game's going to matter so much? Because that could be a seed line. That could be in the play-in. Play-in has worked. The commissioner deserves credit for that.
Yeah, 100%. To your first part is they've got to recognize that they do have a two-way street problem here with the players and the officials, where we should not be. It feels like nightly we get a pool report from a referee about some controversial call in the course of a game. And when I first started doing this, we would get one of those a month, maybe even sometimes only 2 or 3 an entire season, where we would get these pool reports. And now it feels like one every single night. Sometimes there's 2 or 3 in a night. And maybe that's just people know they can do it now, so they're asking for them or whatever. But to your point about the play-in tournament, massive success. There was 2 things that they wanted to do. They wanted to help curb tanking by giving teams something to play for later into the season, and they wanted to introduce another level of excitement for teams. And what I think they've done is created 3 levels of excitement, because you have the first race is, hey, we got to get top 6 because we don't want to be in this play-in tournament. Because now what teams have seen is it's as close as we get in the NBA to March Madness, where a bad game or two and your season's over. So teams see that part of it. And then the second part is it's the play-in tournament itself. We've got, we're down to basically 2.5 weeks to go in the season. We have 4 teams that have been eliminated. That's absolutely incredible, where in most years we'd be, down to this point in the season, we'd probably already have 6 or 7 teams at least eliminated, and, if not more, maybe even as many as, 8 to 10, and a couple teams are still fighting for spots at the bottom of their conferences. And then the last thing they did in conjunction with this, they flattened the lottery odds. And when they flattened those lottery odds, what they did was that made it so teams didn't have to be, horrifically bad from day one of the season. They could just be kind of, we're going to be regularly bad because we don't have to, try to win under 10 games and those kind of things.
One of those play-in teams, when we're talking about the play-in, is the Los Angeles Lakers. They got back into the play-in conversation last night with their late-night win over the Suns, but came out this morning that LeBron James back doing on-court activities, that he is hoping to be able to be back on the court before the end of the regular season. I remember a couple weeks ago when we were talking to you right after this injury took place, and you said that it all kind of depended on where they were sitting around the time he was scheduled to come back. With him back in that lineup with the Lakers, what does that mean for the Lakers going into those play-in games?
Yeah, it's going to be huge if they can get there, right? Because that's the important thing. They still got to keep winning games here, because they've done a good job. They've basically they stayed afloat and they've hung in the race, and they're pushing. So I think there's a good chance we do see them get in to that play-in tournament. And I think now we're in a spot where we're probably going to see LeBron. He pushed back against it a little bit, but I think that was more he's just trying to set hey, let's set expectations,
right?
So people don't go too crazy. But I think we're in a position where what we're going to see with the Lakers and LeBron is he's probably going to play in those last somewhere between 3 and 4 games of the season, and that's going to be huge because that gets his feet wet, that gets him maybe a little bit of rhythm, and they're going to be a tough out in those play-ins, because we haven't seen this Lakers team since they made those trades. Together, because they were only together, I think, for a game or two. So that's going to be something else to keep an eye on.
In the East, can your beloved Celtics can they make up the 3 in the loss column and get the 1 seed?
They can. It's going to be tough though. Well, once you get down to, Boston only has 9 games to play, so you're basically saying every 3 games you're going to make one up. Now, on the plus side, they do play the Bucks again. That is almost like a double game where you can you can hand them a loss while getting yourself a win. So that's the only reason why I give them a chance to make it up. But I think they're starting to realize, hey, yeah, we're going to keep pushing. We're going to try to get to the 1 seed. But our bigger thing is, let's play good basketball. Let's find a good rhythm, and let's be healthy going into this, final run of games here. And I think that's really important. They only have one set of back-to-backs left, so that's only one real thing they got to manage through. But I think we'll see if they catch the Bucks. I think for now the focus is, hey, let's hold off Philly. Let's go where we got to go, and we'll figure it out from there.
I know a lot of people, when it comes to the Eastern Conference, talk about those top 3 teams, the Bucks, the Celtics, and the 76ers, but sitting right there in the 4th seed, the Cleveland Cavaliers, how good is that team? I mean, a young team. How much of noise could they make in the playoffs?
Yeah, they remind me a little bit of the Grizzlies from the last couple of years, where they kind of had their step forward season a couple of years ago, or last season rather, where they almost made it into the playoffs or in the play-in tournament. If not for some injuries, they might have been in the playoffs. And now this year, they've added guys, they've done their thing, and now they're really looking like a pretty good team. I think they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs, but I think Donovan Mitchell is about the only guy on that roster who's had real playoff experience, and that's tough. It's very hard to win in the playoffs. I know people say it all the time of it's completely different animals, completely different game, but it's so true because what happens in the postseason is you're playing the same team 4 to 7 times over a 2-week period. And what happens in there is you're going to see the same guys, there's going to be adjustments made, and it's just a very, very different game versus kind of what the regular season is. So that's going to be something they're going to have to sort through and figure out. And I think this is probably win a round and then be competitive in the second round. You can look at yourself and say, boy, what a successful season. Let's get this moving towards next year already.
Keith, hey, it's Jay Morgan. I love the Miami Heat so much. Last night when Jimmy Butler says, I'm that guy, I mean, inject it right into my veins. They've gone to the finals and last year the Eastern Conference Finals, albeit not shooting great this year. They're a 7 seed, but they've won 7 out of the last 10 games. Is this a team, even if they match up with your Celtics or the Sixers or the Bucks in a scenario, do you think they can make a run back to the point they got to last year?
I don't think so. I think their challenges, they're so limited offensively. Now, Tyler Hero has not taken the steps forward that they really hoped he would as far as being a offensive, dominant kind of guy. Kyle Lowry looks like he's into the phase of his career where he's probably just a pretty good backup now, and that's really tough on them. And then their depth up front, it's Bam Adebayo, Kevin Love, and just hope for the best at this point. So I think in the playoffs, you're going to see them. Now, I'm not going to count them out because Eric Spoelstra is going to have something for an opponent that they've never seen before, and there's going to be some goofy zone defense or trapping defense or something that teams aren't going to be prepared for, and then they're going to probably still win that way. But I think for the most part, you're looking at this Miami team, and you're saying, all right, we got to win these playoff games 100 to 95, because if it gets up around 110 or more points, they just don't have the firepower to keep up, and that's going to be their challenge against the best teams in the East.
Keith J. Morgan got right there to my question. I think Miami would probably be the team right now currently in play-in games, if that's the one out of the East. But out of the West, who's the one out of current play-in games that potentially could represent the West in the NBA Finals?
It's a good question. I don't know exactly where the cutoff is, but I know the Clippers are getting close to that, and we'll see what happens with Paul George. If Paul George is out, I know the Warriors are in that line. The other teams that are down in that range, maybe the Lakers, if they can really put it together. I think the challenge is if you're coming out of the play-in tournament, you have to win 3 series on the road before you even get to the NBA Finals. So that's a pretty stiff challenge. And you're going through, the best teams. So what your hope is, all right, we came out of the play-in and we knocked off either number 1 or number 2. And then the other side of or the other matchup in our half of the bracket, there was also an upset there to make our path maybe a little bit easier. But I think it's with those, teams in the West for the most part. I think it's almost throw a dart and tell me who's going to be healthy and what the matchups are, and then we can start talking about who's going to make a run, because these teams are all pretty, evenly positioned as far as it goes after you get past that top three.
And you hit on the reality of it. To ask anybody to do that, that's winning a lot of games on the road in games 1, 2, and 7.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's really, really hard because it's, you can steal one on the road in the series and feel pretty good, and maybe that launches you to a win. Ask to do that then 2 more times to get to the finals. That's really tough. So what you're looking at there is it a team that basically said, look, we know how good we are. We don't care at all about the regular season, and we're just going to come in and we're going to roll through these guys. Phoenix, I know they're not a play-in level team, but Phoenix is a team I think you could look at and say, yeah, they could probably pull something like that off. If they're in that 5th seed, they could probably come out of that grouping and win, 3 series on the road because they're that good. They've been there, done that with that group of guys, and I think you kind of look at that. I think the Warriors have a little bit of that in them. I think any team that plays Golden State, if if they take game 1 or 2 on your floor, they're not going to say, oh man, this is a mess now and we're nervous. But I think they're going to be. I think you're going to be like, man, now we got to go play them. They've now stolen home court advantage. This is going to make it really rough on us. So there's going to be a level of importance against some of those West teams to winning those first couple games that they're normally, those are always important, but it's going to be a whole different level just because who a couple of those teams are going to be.
Talking to Keith Smith from Spa Track. Keith, one team that I've really enjoyed watching over the past couple of weeks, the Oklahoma City Thunder, now sitting at 36-36, but a team that just last year finished the season with a 24-58 record. How impressed have you been by them, and is that a team that could get out of the play-in and kind of make somewhat of noise, or do you think they're just kind of 1 year away?
Yeah, they can get out of the play-in, but they're not going to make any noise against the better teams unless the better teams just don't play really well. They're definitely a year away. But that should take absolutely nothing away from that team. That coach, Mark Daigneault, boy, is he good. He has that team running some of the best stuff that we see in the league. They are just really confident who they are.
We saw the tip of the iceberg last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is, he's a super duper star. I mean, he is unbelievably good. So you're in a position where you look at, if you're OKC, and I made this point the other night, is they're pretty good right now, right? Even if they don't make it, into the postseason, they're still pretty good. Then they only have 1 or 2 roster spots to fill, and they've got about $30 million in cap space. So they're one of those teams that could say, hey, you know what? We really think player X is the guy who will help take us over the top. We can even overpay him by, 4 or 5, even $10 million a season because that's the flexibility we have right now. And you get Chet Holmgren coming back, and you still got $1 million draft picks. I mean, that future, talk about bright in Oklahoma City, it is unbelievable.
Keith, I know a long and winding road for you and the new coach at St. John's, Rick Pitino. Again, with another reference to your beloved Celtics, back to that. And Keith, I just loved him then. I mostly like him now. And most of it is from college, although he did have good New York Knicks years as a head coach in the NBA. But I go back, and I said it on these airwaves then, it felt then like his entire plan was Tim Duncan or bust, that he had no plan B, and he had no plan B.
He has come out, I believe it's got to be close to a decade or so now, because it was long after he would return to the college game. He came out and said, if I knew we weren't going to get Tim Duncan and Keith Van Horn in that draft, because that's the thing I think people forget. They had 2 top picks. It looked like they were going to have, if things had gone to form, they were going to have the 1st and 3rd pick in the draft. And he said, if I knew we weren't going to land Tim Duncan and Keith Van Horn, I never would have left Kentucky. I would have stayed right there, and I would not have left. He goes, but I thought we were going to get Tim Duncan, Keith Van Horn, and that was going to be my way to kind of launch the new Celtics dynasty. And it's kind of one of those things where, Celtics fans have nothing to complain about, especially ones that are my age and older, because you've seen plenty of winning in the course of your life. And if you're a Celtics fan, you're probably a Patriots, Red Sox, and Bruins fans, and then nobody really feels bad for you. But I think it's one of those things, and every franchise has this, but you look back and you say, man, they could have had Tim Duncan. It's a very famous picture of Kobe Bryant in Celtics gear working out, and they were the one team that was like, yeah, cool, you're talking all this stuff about don't draft him. We're going to get him traded to the Lakers. They were the one team that was like, look, if he's there, we're drafting him. We're not trading him to the Lakers. And Kobe himself said in his retirement season, he's like, yeah, it could have been completely different. I could have been the guy, hanging a banner, here in Boston, have my number retired here. It's just, one of those things where you really look at it, it's like, wow, just the path these take, it's kind of fun sometimes to go back and relive those days.
Yeah, but y'all owed the rest of the basketball world for how Red Auerbach engineered the whole Larry Bird deal.
Yeah, the only thing I will say is I think they started paying that back, unfortunately, when we lost Len Bias and we lost Reggie Lewis. Because those guys were the bridges to they were going to, Larry Bird himself said, if we'd gotten Len Bias, I probably would have played another 3 or 4 years because I wouldn't have to do so much. I would have just been out there throwing alley-oop blobs. And, for a little guy, me, it was like, wait, we're going to have our version of Michael Jordan now? Like, I couldn't have been, more excited about, getting Len Bias. And then Reggie Lewis was one of my absolute favorite players. And, losing Len before he played and then Reggie Lewis passing away the way he did is just, it's one of those things where you look at it. And I think it kind of gets forgotten by some is when the Celtics petitioned to have Reggie Lewis's salary removed because he had passed away, the other NBA teams said absolutely not and voted against it as a punishment for all the things Red Auerbach had done to them over the years.
Oh, my.
Wow. But
Keith, just great stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Great insight.
It's funny. I remember these details, and then I forget things like birthdays and school events.
Well, you got to remember one. It's you pick and choose, right?
No, Keith, I say you remember all the important things.
That's why I have a calendar that tells me the important things.
Exactly.
That's right.
Multiple times.
Exactly. Keith, thanks for joining us. Enjoy your week. We'll do it again next week.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Keith.
You got it. Keith Smith with us every week talking NBA from Spot Tracking at All-Star Chevrolet. You can head down there. Head down Highway 78, first exit into Mississippi. After you get into Mississippi, Kraft Goodman Road, and you're there, and it's truck season all week and all next week. And you walk through all the pre-owned Silverados and Tahoes, High Country, Trail Boss, even some F-150s. If you want to order a brand new Chevy truck or find one down there that you like, ask Kevin or Jeff about this week's deals on new Silverados. Financing as low as 0%. Just can't go any lower than that. Simple math. And no payment for 90 days. Where I didn't thrive in English, I thrived in math, Bryant J. Morgan. Can't go lower than 0. Once again, Jeff and Kevin want to thank all of you for bringing your cars, your trucks, your SUVs, anything you want to sell down to All-Star, and they always pay great cash. Even if you didn't buy from them, even if you owe money against it, bring any car truck to All-Star Chevy, and you can get your check today. Sweet spring deals on combo tire rotation and oil changes. Always great deals on new tires or brake service. Almost anything in that service department, they can accommodate you. Call Sean or Jeff in the All-Star Chevy service department. Remember, it's not the Pike. It's not South Haven. It's not Mount Moriah. It's not Mount Moriah, Bartlett, or Collierville. It's got to be Olive Branch. Find new roads to All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch or go to allstarautogroup.com.
Let's get to a break. When we get back, we'll get back into some college basketball with Blake Lovell from Blue Ribbon Yearbook. That's next.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
A good friend of mine told me about this awesome place for lunch.
Oh, yeah? What's the name?
Neil's Grill and Bar, where the fat man rocks. Everybody knows Neil.
Where's it located?
It's located in Yorkshire Square off of Quince.
And what's it like?
The best lunch place in Memphis. You know, like real mashed potatoes and gravy. Everything is made from scratch. Monday through Friday, daily lunch specials like Monday, baked chicken, Italian Tuesday, spaghetti, ravioli, Italian spinach, delicious fried catfish, fried chicken livers every Wednesday. Wednesday, Friday, Salisbury steak, barbecue chicken, or if you just want a vegetable plate, the best veggies in town.
What about the lunch price?
Meat and 2 veggies, $8.95. Meat and 3 veggies, $10.95. And veggie plate, $9.95. Big fat boy portions, man.
Man, you're making me hungry.
Come hear the best live local music at Neil's. Eddie Smith plays Sundays 5 to 9, Mondays karaoke, Tuesdays Debbie Jameson, Wednesdays Elmo and the Shades, Thursdays John Williams and the A440 Band at Neil's.
Where the fat man rocks.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry: Honda mowers, trimmers, and generators, Steel blowers, trimmers, and chainsaws, Echo trimmers, blowers, and chainsaws, plus quality products from Red Mat and Shindawa. And they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you, and joining us now to talk some college basketball with the Sweet 16 tipping off tonight. Blake Lovell from Blue Ribbon Yearbook is with us now. Blake, thanks for joining us. Obviously, the Sweet 16 starting tonight. We've got 4 games tonight and then 4 games tomorrow, but a handful of SEC teams still remaining, 3 SEC teams still involved in the NCAA tournament. What kind of grade would you get, or how would you kind of say the SEC's done in this NCAA tournament? I'm getting, 7 or 8 schools in, and then still having 3 standing. That's a pretty good look for the SEC.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty well overall. I mean, I think it's, there were a couple missed opportunities, I think, with Kentucky and Missouri. But, it's the NCAA tournament. We've seen a 16 seed beat a 1 seed, and, Missouri had a 15 seed Princeton in the second round. Felt like it was a great sort of setup, but, Princeton had just beaten Arizona. So, no shame for Missouri, I think. Maybe the way they played was more frustrating than anything. And I thought Kentucky had their chances against Kansas State, but just couldn't get it done. So, in all honesty, I think, minus Kentucky, the 3 teams that are left are probably the ones that we thought had the most talent coming into the season in the SEC, and didn't always work out that way for Tennessee and Arkansas consistently. But, so I think overall it's been pretty well, I think, job for the SEC just to kind of still have these 3 teams left. So.
But Blake, here's what I am afraid of, and I've called my shot really all year, and when the bids came out, a lot of bids, now a lot of advancement. But if one gets there, if it's Alabama, the presumptive favorite of the 3 remaining that should land in Houston, then that's a win. But if there's not any in Houston for the SEC, aren't we kind of getting a case of Big Ten-itis?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I mean, it's it would be disappointing, I think, not to have a team there. I mean, certainly I think Alabama and Tennessee, the way the bracket has opened up for both of them, I think both would be disappointed if they don't get there. And obviously that would guarantee an SEC team in the national championship if that happened. But, yeah, I mean, it would be. I think not to – because you have the number 1 overall seed. You got a Tennessee team that looked like a 1 seed for, at least half the season. And like we said, I mean, with Arkansas, it's a team I think has had top 15 talent all season long. It's just they haven't been able to put it all together. And so, yeah, it would be, I think, just the way the bracket is unfolded, it would be disappointing not to have one of, I think, Alabama or Tennessee there, because I think Arkansas has obviously, to me, got the harder path to get there. But, yeah, it would be if neither of those teams were to make it. I think it would certainly be a disappointment for a league that's, has certainly had their ups and downs in the tournament.
About 2 hours ago, Blake, I was texting with one of my Razorback friends already propped up at the blackjack table in Vegas. Yeah, there's gambling in Vegas, if you haven't heard. And I told him to pace himself, and he proceeded to break the game down for me. And the last vignette of the text was, "Don't care what NS Jr. does, Nick Smith Jr." And I texted back, I said, "Wait a second. If he goes for 25, you won't mind, will you?"
Yeah, I think if he goes to 25, I'm going to be shocked if Arkansas is not playing on Saturday, because I think that's just kind of where they are right now. Is I think they have been sort of willed to this point by Devo Davis and Ricky Council, and we obviously saw how much they had stepped up in that Kansas game. But to me, this is the kind of game where you really need everybody. We could say that about a lot of games, but I think this is absolutely another case where I think you've got to have everyone here, because UConn's a team. These two teams. This is going to be an SEC basketball game. I think everyone better prepare for it, because that is always a good thing. I think there's going to be a lot of free throw shot here. These are two teams that are very physical. They both foul a lot, and I think for Arkansas, that's where you need a little bit out of everybody. I mean, this is not a truly deep rotation in terms of. I think there are certain guys you want playing 30-plus minutes, maybe not other guys playing, 25-plus minutes. But, I think Muss has done a good job kind of figuring out what's worked. And, in the Kansas game, what worked was the team that was out there. And I think it's going to be interesting just to see how their rotation looks tonight, knowing that, Smith's had a little bit of injury issue, Black's had a little bit of injury issue. And so I think having those guys out there and available, talent-wise, it's there. It's just, I think they're going to need both those guys to score some points in this game, because UConn's the kind of team that's going to make it difficult on anybody.
Blake, this has not gone over well every time I've said it this week to Razorback fans, but I'm going to say it again because I believe it. Even in victory, and it was a great victory, and I know that's all that matters. It doesn't matter how you got there. I still thought it was way too much jump shooting in that game for Arkansas.
Well, and if they don't like you saying it, they're not going to probably like anything I've said this season, because that's all I've talked about is I think that the one thing for Arkansas that this game could get out of hand in a hurry, because UConn's the kind of team that can just put the clamps on you for 40 minutes. If Arkansas comes out and just starts shooting jump shots, they're going to get beat. And, I mean, it is what it is. Like, it's not knocking Arkansas. It's just teams have certain strengths. Their strength is their speed, their athleticism, and their ability to make plays near the rim. And it's not three-point shooting. You're not, again, teams get here because they lean into what they're good at. Arkansas has, for the most part, leaned into what they're good at. But they still have those stretches where they just take a lot of jump shots, and it's just not a jump shooting team. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of teams in the SEC that are not jump shooting teams. But I think that's what this game comes down to, because what I said a minute ago, UConn fouls a bit. They're very physical. They're going to foul. You get Sonogo in foul trouble. How much different does the game play out then? So I think Arkansas has to be in attack mode, because we saw that. Why did they make the rally against Kansas? Because they just started attacking. And I think that's what they have to do to be able to win this game. So,
the other SEC team in action tonight, Tennessee taking on Florida Atlantic. Here in Memphis, we got a glimpse of Florida Atlantic in the first round when they beat the Tigers. But this Tennessee team, they've really kind of gotten both their first two games into the style that they want to play it in, both holding both their opponents into the 50s. I think that's what they kind of want to do, especially without Zakai Ziegler. But this Florida Atlantic team, they rely a lot on their guard play, a lot on the three-pointers. What is Tennessee going to need to do tonight to kind of keep that ball rolling and advance to the Elite Eight?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's two things, and one of them you just said. Like, I think that it's got to be their style of game, because if it's Florida Atlantic's style of game, Florida Atlantic's going to win because I don't want to see Tennessee in a 3-point shooting contest because that's not going to be great either for them. And I just, that's where Tennessee's margin for error, is much smaller now just because they don't have Zakai Ziegler. And I think it's how they defend in this game. And what it all comes down to is their physical play, which I know not everyone agrees with. I know everyone has agreed with what I've said about Tennessee's physical play this week, and that's that I have no problem with it. You're supposed to make it as hard as possible on the opposing team to score. And it's not Tennessee's job to decide whether the referee should call a foul
It sure
or shouldn't call a foul.
And all that crying by Reese Davis and Jay Billis Sunday and Seth Greenberg, that was nauseating.
It's just, again, look, guys, it's like, has anyone watched basketball before, the past 20 years? Because that's the way it was. This, Brett. It's just, we're not going to give you anything.
May I introduce Jay Billis to Carlos Boozer?
Right. It's
to
just
Elton Brand.
I get it, but I just think it's been way overblown, with Tennessee, because that's just how they play, and I have no problem with the team leaning into and look, the Euro splashing stuff. I get it, he will let you know he's there, and I understand sometimes that will be a little more physical than others, but at the same time, they are trying to make it hard on their opponents, and I think that can be the difference in this game because what we keep talking about is it's not easy to replicate watching it on film or just watching Tennessee play. You have to get out there and prepare for what they're going to do for 40 minutes. And if Tennessee's playing defense and they make it physical and Florida Atlantic has to start their offense 10 feet further out than they want to, that's going to be a challenge. But if Tennessee is always 5 or 6 minute stretch away from not scoring and getting down double digits. If they do that here, I think they're in trouble.
Talking to Blake Lovell from Blue Ribbon Yearbook. Tomorrow, Alabama takes on San Diego State to kick off the night of action. And for Alabama, they've really kind of looked good in these first two games, even though star Brandon Miller has been kind of struggling with a groin injury, been on some sort of minute restrictions, especially in that second game. This will be a game against another team that has a lot of big guards, a lot of big athletes on their team in San Diego State. Does Brandon Miller's groin injury bother you at all going into this game or going deeper into the Elite Eight Final Four National Championship?
Well, I think it does to a certain extent because, I said a minute ago, I think, a lot of people will look at this as though the bracket is opened up pretty well for Alabama. And, well, that's because, the 2 seed's not there, 3 seed, 4 seed, and so forth. But I actually think that San Diego State and Creighton are two teams that can really give Alabama a problem. And I think it's for different reasons. The San Diego State one, I'm not high on the Mountain West this year. I've said that many times, and it's kind of been proven that I think that just, has not been a great, tournament overall for the Mountain West. But I am high on the San Diego State team. And I think it's because they have some of the characteristics of teams that have beaten Alabama this season. A&M, Tennessee, 2 of those in particular. Just teams that could really defend and make every single shot hard while also making the game style the way they wanted it to. They're going to play at their pace. And I think San Diego State can do that. Now, the problem becomes, you have to choose, right? If you do decide to do that, well, that means that you're going to have to try to score on Alabama in the half court. And that's not an easy thing to do because they have all the length, all the athleticism, whether it's Miller, Clowney, Bediako, just so much size to deal with, especially with guards with quick hands. So I think, this road is not necessarily easy for Alabama, and so having 100% Brandon Miller will be important because I don't really buy into the fact this year that everyone thinks Alabama is just a, live by the 3 type team. They're really not when you look at it. This is much different than some of the other teams they've had because they can get, points easy inside. They can get to the free throw line, and they're so good defensively that they just turn that into easy offense. So they got a lot of ways they can score, but again, I would not be shocked if San Diego State pushes them at least for a little bit in that game tomorrow night.
Blake, not an easy question I'm going to ask, and not one that I'm trying to rile anybody up because I've had that aggravation since late Friday night with it. I could not go to sleep Friday night after I got in bed from all the adrenaline of 2 days of basketball and the heartbreak, the anguish of how the Tigers went out. You could answer 52, but who is the one team that you wouldn't blame their fans? I can't watch any more of it. I don't care. Just so aggravated that they're out of the tournament. Is it Memphis?
I guess, yeah. Beyond Purdue. I think there's reason to be frustrated because I think it goes into what we talked about. Probably knowing that, what happened in the 116 game beside you. And look, you guys know I was almost to that point of like when you're trying to identify your bracket, say who's that team that's in the East, in the East. But I was like, there's so many teams that could come out of it. But I'm like, I would be shocked if it's like Memphis and Kentucky, in the Elite Eight with a trip to go to the Final Four. And so I think there's understandable frustration there because it felt like a game that, honestly, right, it just felt like a game where they're up, 7, I think, midway through the second half.
Do you know the ad revenue that cost us?
No. That is true.
Woo.
I get it. It's frustrating because I think this was a team that, when you looked at the makeup of it with all the experience and all that, this felt like the spot, right? And it just didn't happen. So outside of maybe Purdue fans or Kentucky fans, who I know are also frustrated, I can understand the frustration from Memphis fans.
Yeah, it was a frustrating weekend. That's for sure. But Blake, enjoy the games this weekend. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Sounds great, guys. Thanks.
Thanks,
Blake. Thanks, Blake. Enjoy.
Blake Lovell from Blue Ribbon Yearbook talking some college basketball with the Sweet 16 tipping off in less than an hour at 5:30 on TBS, Michigan State versus Kansas State to start the night. But let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, it will be time for Big Number of the Day.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
The Showboats are back in Memphis.
We can't wait to have you for the USFL.
Let's go. Ticket prices start at just $10 for their long-awaited homecoming season. April 15th starts a new era of pro football at the Liberty Bowl when the Showboats seek to reclaim their USFL legacy. Bring the whole family and don't miss the Showboats' historic return.
It's a touchdown!
Buy your tickets today at theusfl.com.
I know you're thinking about pools and patios right now. Don't deny it. They're on your mind. So it's a good thing that Family Leisure is having their preseason patio and pool sale. It's like they're mind readers. You can buy now and save big with the area's largest selection of patio furniture. You want free layaway? Done. You want special financing? Done. You want to be ready to enjoy your backyard just as soon as spring hits? Family Leisure has you covered. Patio and pool season's not that far away. So now's the time to take advantage of this fantastic early bird pricing special. Now here comes the really special part. If you mention this commercial, you get half off delivery and installation. I'll let that sink in for a second. You heard me right, my friends. You mentioned this very commercial, and Family Leisure will give you half off delivery and installation. The preseason patio and pool sale is happening now at Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Brian Elder Roofing, 867-0303. You've known the name for 30 years. You might even remember him from nearly 20 years on Kix 106 as half of the Young and Elder Show. Now, 13 years later, Brian Elder is the largest purchaser of Owens Corning shingles in Memphis. Call him right now, 867-0303. Certified and trained by Owens Corning to earn a reputation for quality and expertise matched by no one. Don't let them tell you it has to be replaced when all it needs is a repair. Call right now, 867-0303. He'll climb every inch of your roof. He'll go into your attic and run a moisture and ventilation test using state-of-the-art equipment to make certain you're protected from mold and other contaminants. You may be causing respiratory problems for your family and not even know it. We're waiting for your call, 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensdorf Realtors, and the market is starting to crank back up. While we had a slowdown late last year, the rates are coming down, and I'm seeing multiple offers again. And if you want to participate in 2023, think of me. Do not list your home without talking to 2 to 3 real estate brokers, and make sure that Kelly Erb and I are one of them. I've had people say that I must feel confident to tell people that, and yes, I do. We have a highly successful strategic marketing program that can make the difference in how much you make and when. Find out why people often say that when you want the job done, call Sheldon at 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. Or you can also call my marketing partner, Kelly Erb, at 355-3830.
Call me, Kelly Erb, at 355-3830 or Sheldon at memphisrelocate.com or 483-0546. Remember, call me, Kelly Erb, at 355-3830.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant Dacus, Brett Norsworthy, Jay Morgan Harder with you, and it's 4:50, so that means it's time for Big Number of the Day.
Big Daddy. Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy. You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
So my big number today is 33. Our friend that we love taking a look at his Twitter account every once in a while, Big Game Boomer, put out a new list of teams titled College Fan Bases That Need to Be More Passionate. And some of the teams on here, well, look, South Florida, sure, maybe. Cal, sure, those teams aren't doing anything. Louisville,
they won 7 games
maybe,
this year.
Yeah. But other teams on there, Duke, North Carolina, Ole Miss, Memphis, Baylor, Miami. Any other that jump off to me that seems a little weird? Washington, Wake Forest, Virginia. Some of these teams on here I do not agree with.
Now, is that for football or basketball or all sports?
I think it's just all sports because it doesn't say one or the other. It just says college fan bases that need to be more passionate.
All right, let's. All right, you defend Memphis in that, or real quickly, you defend or say he's right on, and then I got a few things to say about Ole Miss.
I would say he's wrong about the Tigers. I mean, I can agree with maybe some of the turnout isn't great, but I do think
the students were giving tickets away to their grandparents.
That is true, but
yeah.
After they stopped that, the student sections were fantastic,
robust.
When the teams are playing, I mean, there's a buzz around the city. Look at the women's team; they're selling out the El Marone Fieldhouse. There's a buzz around here for Memphis.
All right. For Ole Miss, first of all, in baseball, when you have 10,000 on a Tuesday,
yeah,
I don't think that's lacking in passion.
No.
For basketball, you got to give them something.
Got to,
and maybe Chris Beard will. Basketball, how do you have passion for that?
Yes.
I mean, it's that South Carolina game again. You kill the in-house music. You can converse with the other side in the tone of voice I'm speaking in now. You give them something, I think they get passion. Mm-hmm. Football, they pick their spots on passion. I think consistently the passion needs to be raised.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Jay Morgan, your big number.
I'll defend the U before I get to my big number. Miami is in all of his lists of disparaging college programs. I don't know if he actually hates them, but that's the fan base that he riles up more than any other. He knows where his bread is buttered. My big number of the day is 60. Over his last 2 games, I think this player might rival Alperen Şengün as my favorite in the league, and for a good reason. Over his last 2 games, the Lakers' Austin Reeves, he has 60 points, 15 assists. He's grabbed more than 10 rebounds, made over 25 free throws, shot 60% from the field and 90% from the free throw line. Wow. The last player to do that over a 2-game span was Oscar Robertson, the Big O, in 1965.
Man, wow. That is something. Now, John Feinstein, the great John Feinstein, the noted author, the columnist for the Washington Post. At one time, John Feinstein and I were pretty good buddies. I don't know if he would even remember me now. And his dad was once the conductor of the D.C. Symphony.
Oh, maestro.
I think that's right. I'm pretty sure that's right.
Interesting.
He had a great comeback today to somebody on Twitter John comes back at people hard on Twitter, and I remember him not being quite like that. But anyway, whatever. And he came back at somebody that referenced Big Game Boomer. He goes, "I don't even know if you speak. Why do you reference the idiot?"
Great point.
My big number is real big, 9.5 million.
Wow.
That's how many people watched the Arkansas-Kansas game, and that wasn't in Wheelhouse TV time either.
No, it wasn't.
And that's the second most watched game of the tournament. The most watched game, Michigan State and Marquette, pulling in almost 12 million, as Mark Wise says. This is good times for college basketball.
It
Great
sure
times.
Is. It sure is, and that's kind of surprising. I mean, that Arkansas-Kansas game was what, like a 4:45 tip, something around there?
Something like that. That's not Wheelhouse.
No, that's not Wheelhouse at all.
On a Saturday afternoon?
But that's great numbers. I think it's in a good spot. I'm excited to see where these Sweet 16 numbers are because I think, especially tonight with these games, I think they could be really, really good, especially that late-night game, Gonzaga versus UCLA. Could be a really fun one. But before we get to a break, I've got to tell you about Central Barbecue, where smoke is their sauce. Stop in for lunch or dinner like I did last night at one of their 5 great locations in Midtown on Central Avenue, Poplar, Summer, downtown by the Civil Rights Museum, or the one in Mississippi on Getwell Road in South Haven for slow-smoked Memphis-style barbecue. Central Barbecue has some of the best ribs in town, and don't forget about the pulled pork sandwich. But they have more than just pork. Try their beef brisket, smoked turkey, barbecue bologna, or wings. Pair any of that with one of their great sides like green slaw or my favorite, the mac and cheese for a meal you'll remember. If you want catering for 15 or more people, Central Barbecue can do that. Just call 901-527-9990. That's 901-527-9990. And to ship it to family or friends that aren't lucky enough to visit Central Barbecue, head over to eatcbq.com and click the shipping tab to send your loved ones the best barbecue in town. Again, give them a call at 901-527-9990 or visit one of their 5 great locations for Central Barbecue, where smoke is their sauce. Let's wrap up this hour. When we come back to start the 5 o'clock hour, Greg Gaston will join us to talk about the Tigers and their loss last week against Florida Atlantic. That's next on Sports Time.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders' team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Call me, 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text JUDGE to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text JUDGE to 321-321. That's JUDGE to 321-321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
Golfers, tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the hottest new arrivals from Titleist. Check out the new Pro V1 golf balls, designed for longer distance, more consistency, and unrivaled control. Swing by Edwin Watts Golf Shops and elevate your game with the new TSR Woods, engineered faster, longer, and straighter. Come in and get custom fit for free today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, unmatched service, unmatched expertise.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Third and final hour, and at the bottom of this hour, we will have tip-off for Michigan State and Kansas State, and we'll keep you up to date on the early score from that one. Then after that game at Madison Square Garden will come FAU in Tennessee. FAU defeating the Tigers last week. We will talk with that. We'll talk about that with Greg Gassens. We talk Tigers every week with him, and we so appreciate Greg throughout the year staying with us. Every week Greg is with us, and he's brought to you by the law offices of Stephen Leffler, Neil's Bar and Grill, Mount Moriah Auto Sales, and Chet Wissett, your Cry-Like Realtor. And from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. every morning, you can hear this voice, and you hear him with us every Thursday afternoon. That's Greg Gaston. Good afternoon, Greg.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How's everybody going?
Doing good, doing good. How are you on this Thursday afternoon?
I don't know, just kind of a sleepy afternoon. I actually took a nap. I was tired from this morning. I'm getting ready. It's a long night. We got the big Sweet 16 start of the Sweet 16, so I got to pace myself. You know, I'm not a kid anymore, Brian. I'm not like you.
Well,
it is a long night for us. And Greg, we're just visiting with a guest about 20 minutes or so. Our friend Blake Lovell from Blue Ribbon Yearbook, and I said I can't imagine a fan base watching tonight any more aggravated and maybe to that point of I can't watch it than the Tiger fan base for letting that one get away against FAU and the potential of what could have come after that with what Fairleigh Dickinson did against Purdue, and then the matchup potentially with Tennessee, or would have been against Tennessee in Madison Square Garden. Greg, I have called it, and I've had many people say, "Oh, no way," but I have called it the worst loss in Tiger basketball history.
Well, that's a bold statement, and certainly you could make an argument for and against. But I think you're right. I think there's going to be a lot of Tigers fans that will not be tuning in tonight at all, especially to that Tennessee-Florida Atlantic game. It was one that was kind of just like ripped away from you, right? You saw what happened, as you mentioned, with Fairleigh Dickinson pulling off that huge upset. You thought, oh my gosh, the door is not only ajar, it's wide open. Memphis, the better seed, the favorite against Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic's a good team, but no way Memphis is going to lose that game. And then they're going to play Fairleigh Dickinson? Are you kidding me? Cinderella team, they will down them. They will get ready to go to New York. Then Tennessee, of course, drubs Duke, which I didn't see that one coming, and you would have played Duke. Rick Barnes' team, the team that does not want to play you, the coach that does not want to play you, was all wide open and just snatched in a matter of seconds at the end of that game. I mean, it was depressing. It absolutely was depressing. I feel bad for those players, that team, that staff. It is. It's now been, 6 days or whatever it is, and it still feels horrible. It feels like it happened last night.
And Greg, I've had so many people push back on, no way, that's over the top, and they go to 2008 in the finals.
Sure.
But for as rough as that was, I mean, just getting kneecapped in that one in overtime and just feeling so bad about it. That was still you get a runner-up trophy. You should be a banner hanging, but nevertheless, and you still had all that. Yeah, and you had all that promotion, you had all that great publicity. Where last week ended it. We know about the Tigers. We know what they did in the regular season. We know they beat a number one for the first time in school history. We know they won the American Conference. Nobody else does. They would have known the Memphis story. They would have known the story of Kendrick Davis. They would have known DeAndre Williams for more than just his age. They would have known what Penny Hardaway has accomplished in 5 years with advancement. Instead, it's wait till next year.
Yeah, look, that one is still hard to digest all these years later, so I'd still put that kind of at the top, right? That's a national championship right there if Chalmers doesn't make that shot. But once you went to overtime, I think we all knew the Tigers were losing that game. They were done. They were toast. It was over. This one, you thought, oh, my gosh, even with the bad pass by Kendrick Davis down the stretch, which, again, is a 5-year guard who makes the bad pass, but he was great all year long. You wouldn't be in the position you were without him. Even with that, even with the officiating and some really questionable calls, even with that, you get one defensive stop by a team that was so bought into defense with Penny and Haith and that coaching staff, just bought into the defense. One stop. Don't give up dribble drive penetration. And a 5-year guard fights on the head fake and gets beat on dribble drive penetration and a floater. That's why all those reasons you could have seen that team lose, bad calls, this, that, but it comes down to one play, one last stop, and you can't get that stop. That's devastating. I'm sorry. That's tough. That's a tough one to swallow.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious what you think, Greg, because I kind of heard this from some people in the Memphis media and some fans even after that game, that the pass from Kendrick Davis late in that game, the turnover that kind of led to everything, was going to almost tarnish the what people remember Kendrick Davis as, is that they're going to have that lasting memory. It's going to change what people think about Kendrick Davis 15, 20 years down the road. Do you think that, or do you think what he's done for the bulk of this season is going to still kind of keep him in that upper echelons when you talk about one-year Tigers?
Oh, yeah. I don't buy that.
Yeah.
I really don't. I mean, you'll certainly remember that pass, that bad decision. He had a timeout. He could have called the timeout. But, gosh, where would they be without that kid? It was an unbelievable year for Kendrick Davis, and it would be sad if people only remember him for that. But it's interesting. I can't speak for other people. Darius Washington was a hell of a player.
Yeah.
He had a heck of a run with Memphis, and he's only remembered for the one thing. That's unfortunate. But I think Kendrick Davis truly should be remembered for first of all, he wanted to be here. He wanted to be with Penny Hardaway. He embraced the city. I loved watching that guy. I loved having him on my show in the mornings. I loved having him bring his son to the press conferences and then go out and compete the way he did. Yeah, it would be a shame if people remember him only for that play. But again, it's one of those deals where it's just hard to come to grips with the fact that you have a fifth-year guy made that decision and a fifth-year guy bid on a ball fake, a head fake, and then a dribble drive, because that's why you brought those veteran players in, to have that experience. Even though they did not have the NCAA tournament experience, mind you, they had the experience of all the games that they played.
Yeah. We were talking earlier in the week, probably Monday, first show back after that game. But what do you think? Is this a successful season for the Tigers or a little bit of a disappointment? Because, like you said, that door was wide open, especially after Fairleigh Dickinson won that game. Was this season successful or a little disappointing?
Well, I guess it depends on what your definition of success is.
Yeah.
And with me, my definition of success is what you do in the postseason. Obviously, getting to the postseason is the first step, and they did. They got to the postseason. They won their conference tournament championship, which was great. Taking nothing away from Memphis, Houston didn't have their best player, but they still could have won that game. They were on a mission. So you get the AQ. That's a positive step. But they lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament. In fact, they lost to a team that was a higher seed than you.
Yeah.
And I know a good, competent team, but you lost to them. So, no, I can't look at it as this was successful, because that's the bare minimum of just getting to the NCAA tournament. It's just like Ryan Silverfield with football. He said, we hit the bare minimum. We got to a bowl game. We got to win in a bowl game, which, again, is a feather in their cap. But it was the bare minimum, 6 wins in the regular season. Memphis had a really strong regular season, but not strong enough to take them out of that 8-9 game. So, yes, while there were a lot of positives, certainly battling Tuscaloosa despite a loss, but we're not in the moral victories. The win over Auburn was a nice win on a neutral court, winning the conference tournament championship. There were bright moments. But in the end, they lost in the first round to Florida Atlantic, who's playing Tennessee right now in New York, and you feel like you should be. So, yeah, I was asked on ABC 24 on their Sunday night show. I was on this past Sunday night about that, and they asked for a letter grade. And I said, I can only go as high as a B-.
Greg, I think what you're saying is so very truthful, and the truth hurts.
Yeah.
Now, if I had to, and I did yesterday in my Wednesday segment with Dave, kind of getaway, he asked me, was it successful? I said, yes. If I just had to, yes or no, I think I would say yes. If I could be a little more nuanced, and I will be, and I'm getting ready to be, then I tack to you. I'm more of a zero-sum gamer. And your answer is very zero-sum game, because, and I don't take this to spike the ball at anybody or to try to pick at anybody, but this is unarguable. This is irrefutable. The Tigers did not advance as far this year as they did last year.
Exactly. And again, by no means going people to think, oh, they were just terrible. Coaching, Penny had his best coaching year. I thought
sure
he did I thought he did a marvelous job. I thought his decision to bring in who he was able to bring into this team was a great decision. And remember, he had some guys that he wanted on this team that said no for whatever reason. It could have been NIL money, or it could have also been that they had that IARP thing hanging above them, right, hovering in a black cloud above the university, which now we know is gone. It's void. It was a slap on the wrist. But the players back then who were contemplating recruiting, they didn't know, because they're thinking they want to go for their final year and play on an NCAA tournament team. You did not know at that point if Memphis could be possibly banned from the NCAA tournament. Well, ends up not being the case, which is great, but also I think it hurt with some of the guys he wanted to bring in. But he still was able to go out and get veteran guys who did not have a lot of that postseason experience, but had the game experience. And he was able to weed them in and out and figure out the right combination. So I thought there were a lot of positives. Don't get me wrong, a lot of positives, a positive step, moving in the right direction. But when you look back and you go, well, how was the season? Lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament. So you gauge it. You gauge the season, because I think most Memphis Tigers fans would say that's bare minimum to get to the tournament, you certainly expect to advance.
Yeah. Talking to Greg Gaston, like we always do on a Thursday afternoon, talking Tigers. You can also hear him every morning from 7 to 10 on Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli. Going into the offseason, we know who is going to be leaving the team because no more eligibility, and then you throw in KO into the mix because he has declared for the draft, declared that he's going to go pro. So that means the guys that, at least for right now, coming back, Keontae Kennedy, Chandler Lawson, Jamar Young, Jonathan Lawson, Ian Granja, Malcolm Dandridge, and Jaden Hardaway. Out of those guys, who do you feel most strongly will return or most strongly will not return?
Well, Jaden will be back to play with his brother, so that's a definite right there. I would think that Keontae Kennedy will come back for another year, hope to be a guy that's featured, have a big three-point shooting season, be a better defensive player, and maybe get a look that following year. Professional basketball, maybe NBA. Who knows? I think Keontae would be a guy coming back. I think the Lawsons will both be back. I do believe Chandler will come, even though he walked on senior day. I think Jonathan, that's a no-brainer. I think he's coming back. I don't believe Malco will come back. Even though he has another year of eligibility, I don't believe. That's just a gut feeling. Jamar Young, I don't know. I've never even seen the guy, to be honest with you. But I would think that he'd want to stay and play a season with Memphis since he wasn't able to because the waiver wasn't granted. Granja, I can't imagine he comes back, but I don't know what his options will be, and I don't know. And remember, it's a two-edged sword here. You may want to come back as a player. Mm-hmm. They may not necessarily want you back because they're looking at roster spots.
Yeah.
And the way they were successful with the portal, Petty is diving into that portal along with having these young studs that have already signed on the dotted line to come in. So I would think that there's a good portion of them that aren't coming back.
And Greg, I was the Monday after the heartbreaking loss to Houston at FedEx Forum on the shed shot at the buzzer. Be careful saying that real fast. I was very melancholic that day, not about the prospect for the rest of the season. I felt great about that. But I felt the melancholy for me was leaving the building and wondering, when will it be like that again for a February, March game? Maybe, if Tennessee got back on the schedule, Arkansas, Ole Miss, or the schedule. I hear Missouri, I hear Virginia, I hear Mississippi State, but it just doesn't replicate that in a December game. It just doesn't. When will it be like that again? When will eyes of the country be on Tiger basketball again the week before Selection Sunday? And I had that same feeling of resignation, of melancholy, of sadness Friday night. When will the path to the Sweet 16 and possibly beyond ever be that wide open again? I fear not.
Yeah, and your point is well taken because you have, first of all, there's so much going on with the change in this conference. Who's leaving the conference? You lose a Houston team that you know is going to be in your building once a year, and it's going to draw a huge crowd. You lose to Cincinnati, which is not the Cincinnati from the past, but I think has the ability to get there one day, and you lose that great rivalry. And remember, you lost the rivalry of Louisville when they left a long time ago. So where are those rivalries going to come from? Where are you going to get those quality wins within the conference? Sure, Florida Atlantic's having a good year this year, and you have UAB and North Texas in the NIT Final Four. But these teams are not sustained, established, big-time RPI games for you. So that means you have to schedule, Penny has to schedule incredibly well outside of the conference, which he is trying to do. Another thing that he is doing and working hard on, and you got to give him credit. He put together a good schedule last year, a real good schedule, but you have to have some of those teams come to Memphis. Number one, you have to fulfill your requirement to the Grizzlies. But number two, you have to have enough fanfare in there. You have to have fans buying tickets, and the only way you do that is to get some quality teams in there. So he has to get those teams. You mentioned some of those names. I've heard similar names. Arkansas would be really, really good. But Tennessee doesn't want to play you, so you're limited. There's schools like Kentucky that only would play you, if they play you at all, at a neutral court. So that's going to be the big challenge of having enough quality teams on that schedule. And then you have to go out there and win those games. And you can't have any bad losses in the conference because you'll be in the same boat, assuming you win the conference tournament title. You'll be in the same boat in an 8-9 game or a 7-10 game. So there's a lot that will be coming into play this offseason for Penny to put together that type of schedule to get the right players. But there's no reason why Memphis shouldn't be at the top of the heap every single year with that conference that we see. And hopefully, Brett, it will be winning and winning at a high level and nationally ranked Tigers teams that will get those people, those fannies in the butts, and not necessarily have to rely on who they're playing.
Greg, you're selling the new conference mates in a little short. You talked about North Texas and Florida Atlantic, but you didn't mention Charlotte, who won the CBI yesterday. I mean, we got
Go Niners,
a
go
champion coming in.
Brett, do you have to pay your way into the CBI? I forget. There was one tournament
you
have
do
to pay your way to get in.
I think you got to pay your way in, and you got to pay your way to get out of it. It's like a bad club.
Charlotte.
You got to fight to get in and fight to get out.
That's true. That's once you're in, they got you, man. You're a sucker. But Charlotte, I remember them for the old days in Conference USA, and they were a capable team. And certainly UAB has an old rivalry with Memphis. But gosh, you don't want to think about that, right? That, hey, UAB and Charlotte are your pars. Florida Atlantic is your par. This is Memphis freaking basketball. Come on now.
So
what are we talking about here?
I so agree. I mean, Greg, just the idea that I got to go see Rice play again. I mean, you got to be kidding me.
I remember calling a game at Rice, and they got to do arena now.
Autry Court, one of the worst places ever.
I saw the game at Rice. It sat like, I don't know, maybe 2,500, 3,000. They had a black curtain past the end line on the one side. They had a black
with
curtain.
a stage behind it.
With a stage behind it, and then past the black curtain, if you opened it up, kids were playing volleyball. Their intramural stuff was going on.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, it's changed. Oh, my gosh.
Sam Smith Gymnasium at Far City was as nice.
But, Greg, you talked about Penny kind of going into the transfer portal and kind of with the amount of guys he's bringing in, you'd think maybe 2 or 3 guys to kind of supplement this roster with what you think would be coming back. But what is maybe a position or a style of player that you really think Penny Hardaway needs to attack in the portal with the guys they're bringing in next year?
All right, two areas. You have to get a big or two. You have to, especially if Dandridge isn't going to come back. Young decides he's not going to stay. And Young, I don't know much about. I know he didn't play. He played sparingly. You need some guys. I always say, when I'm assembling a team, give me a veteran point guard who has great handles. Give me a dead-eye three-point shooter, and give me a goon. I wouldn't mind a goon, and out of my 2 big guys, there's a guy who's going to hammer you. I mean, I'm sorry. It's the truth. I know it's a three-point-oriented game anymore, a perimeter game, but you want to have something inside. You want to have a guy. The kid on Connecticut is such a big physical guy and has skills. Love those kind of players. So, and Chandler Lawson is a solid player, but I think in a perfect world, Chandler's not a starter. He's a rotation player, and he lacks the size against the real big dudes. And I'm talking about going out there and getting a big guy, not Zach Edey, but going out and getting a guy that's 6'10", 6'11", that will play at the next level. And a Joey Dorsey, who was as athletic as they come, if you could find those guys. But Brian, I think you have to go out and get a veteran point guard.
I think so, too.
Look, J.J. Taylor, Mikey Williams, all these guys are really good players, especially Mikey Williams. And he's a guy who needs the ball in his hands, but he's a combo guard. Why not go out and get a veteran point guard, let that guy be the guy handling it, and then ease Mikey in, but you could start Mikey as a 2. And I think that would be a nice combination. If you give Mikey the keys to the car and there's struggles early on, like there will be, because there even was with Derrick Rose. But it went haywire 2 years ago with Amani Bates. Now, you tried to force him into a point guard position, which I had no problems with Penny trying to do. So I don't know what he'll do. But I could see 3-4 portal guys going in there, and I think you have to go big, and I believe a point guard, because if not, you're relying on these young kids to run that team.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm sure we'll get more news about incoming players. I know we're already seeing some players that Penny and his staff has reached out to. So it'll be, I think, a busy offseason for this team. But, Greg, thanks for joining us, and enjoy the tournament games going on this weekend. We'll talk to you again next week.
You too, guys. Talk to you next week.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you very much, Greg Gaston. That was really candid, and I think very, very honest and right on the nose. Greg Gaston with us every Thursday talking Tigers. You can hear him every single morning on these airwaves with Eli Savoy from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Greg Gaston with us on Thursday. Brought to you by Chet Whitsett, your Cry-Like Realtor, Neil's Bar and Grill, Mount Moriah Auto Sales, and the law offices of Stephen Leffler. In about 8 minutes, we will pick side and total on all these games tonight and maybe have a good laugh tomorrow at how bad these picks are. Maybe gloat a little bit about throwing out, making it rain, handing out some money. This hour of our show brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road and online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. You can reach them at 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience where they are very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area, where all the cars are test-driven and checked out thoroughly from bumper to bumper, head to toe, with an unlimited inventory of every make, every model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find that special car just for you. You walk in, you're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, down-home environment, and they care about your time at DeSoto Auto Sales. No high-pressure sales whatsoever. The very opposite of that. But they do want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience because they know we live in a world today where time really matters, and that's why they have it so simplified, so streamlined, and so efficient. You find the car you want, test drive it, credit approved, paperwork completed, you're gone in 45 minutes or less. I can't guarantee it in the next 7 minutes where you're home in time to watch the tip of the first game, but you'll be home in time to watch the Arkansas game, that's for sure, and you sure can do it over your busy lunch hour or over the weekend, plenty of time at DeSoto Auto Sales on Goodman Road and online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales.
Brett, what do you think the primary focus of the transfer portal should be for Penny Hardaway?
Point guard, point guard, point guard. I said it the other day. The idea of trying to get a freshman point guard, an unproven player, with the non-conference schedule that they're going to have to play. It's going to be murderer's row. It's going to have to be. Just guessing. Well, we know the tournament down at Paradise Island is going to be brutal. Outside of those 3 games, let's say 9 more games, only about 2 or 3 can be pure D, North Alabama cupcakes.
Sure.
It's going to have to be rough, and some of them will have to be on the road. We know to College Station. We know to Virginia Common, maybe a couple more. But a couple of them will be at FedEx Forum, and it's got to be stoked. It can't always be like that Sunday afternoon against Houston, but it's got to get close to it, and I can't imagine trying it with an unproven player because we did just see it blow up. I thought it blew up with Boogie.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely did. I mean, as much as I love Boogie, there were times where you were, wondering what was going to happen. And even, you have those couple of seasons where it's Boogie, it's Amani playing some point guard, it's Alex Lomax as your starting point guard.
I thought it blew up with Alo.
It did. But
as a young player.
But to have a guy like Kendrick come in last year and to be able to see a veteran point guard who's played in this league, you're not going to get someone probably from the American, but a veteran point guard who has played these teams, played this competition, to come in and kind of be able to have that at guard for your team all season, going to a 18-year-old kid just seems awful, honestly. I would hate for that to happen.
I think so, too, and we saw – it didn't Alex Lomax. It did not. That joker, darn if he didn't get tougher from it.
Man, he did.
We saw it destroy Amani and Boogie Ellis.
Yeah, and those were 2 guys that really relied on their confidence, and you saw early those struggles. Just being that young, having to start at the D1 level is tough, and so you kind of saw that confidence really just go to an all-time low.
And Bryant, whether it's fair or not, I know Tiger fans out there going, man, you guys, especially you, Brett, man, you got a high bar for the Tigers. Left melancholic after one of the great atmosphere of the year. Felt bad after an NC. Look, whether it's fair or not, Tiger basketball does, and it's always been held to an extremely high level. Long before we had the Grizzlies in this market, we had a team, fair or not, we treat it like a pro team.
Yeah.
And now with the Grizzlies, it still gets that treatment. It gets that beat coverage treatment. It gets that TV treatment. It gets that talk radio treatment. It gets that around the town talk treatment. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah. And it needs to stay at that level. I mean, there's going to be a lot of talk of how can you keep that with the teams that are coming into the American. Like you said, kind of a big non-conference schedule will definitely help. But it needs to stay at that level, and I definitely think Penny needs to bring in a couple of veteran guys to kind of supplement this roster going into next season. But let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at all 4 games in action tonight in the Sweet 16, and we'll pick both a side and a total for each of them. That's next on Sports Time.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand bottled, taste tested, sent to a few friends, then taste tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com.
Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch has an offer you can't refuse. They will pay you to do business with them if you want luxury. And I'm talking the Genesis G70 car. If you would love to have that kind of new technology, they will give you a $1,000 rebate when you finance with Genesis Motor Finance. In other words, they'll pay you $1,000 to do business with them, and you get brand new luxury. You can't beat it. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis, right at the corner of Craft Road and Highway 78 in Olive Branch. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis in Olive Branch, where customer retention is amazing. There's a reason. They take care of you with a team that's been together for a long time. Whether it's finance or whether it's service, you can't beat them. Homer Skelton Hyundai Genesis.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time as we've got about 30 minutes left in today's edition of the show, and we've got 4 games tonight in the Sweet 16, and Brett came up with the great idea earlier today that we're going to go through all 4 of these games tonight, pick a side and a total, and we'll see how we do. But I do see down in Las Vegas tonight for the Arkansas game, John Daly's in attendance.
Well, of course John Daly's in attendance.
Just the place he needs to be.
It looks like the mall Santa Claus, doesn't
it? Sure does.
Golly, what a beard he's got working. He looks like an Old Testament figure, doesn't he?
He does.
Well, hold it. Let me retract that. I don't know if John Daly's ever been acquainted with an Old Testament figure.
Maybe not.
I don't know. There was some shaky guys in the Old Testament too.
That's
but
true.
Anyway, I don't want to show off too much Bible knowledge. That's your forte.
I guess so.
You can handle that one, but a little bit of a Friday football forecast here on a Thursday afternoon, isn't it?
Oh man, brings it back to the football season. I love it. I can't wait.
It does. Michigan State, Kansas State, they've tipped. It's 2-0, but I don't think that will skew anything. Kansas State is the favorite, right?
They are. They flipped from this morning. They were now, before the game tipped off, a 1.5-point favorite.
All right, let's make it pick 'em.
Okay, pick 'em. Who wants to start?
I pick Kansas State.
Bryant?
Yeah, Kansas State.
I also take Kansas State. Let's make it a clean sweep.
How about that?
I think they win by 4.
Wow.
Group lock on K-State. All right, the total, 138.5, where we won't push.
All right. I'll go over.
I'll go under.
I'm going to go over as well.
Okay.
I think the final score is 72-68. I went in depth
After
for this.
warning earlier, not to be static, I'm going to try one more with that under, because the under had a weekend last weekend. My goodness, if you'd just gotten out there $20 on every game and ridden that under, you would have been at the pay window for sure. The next game, 6:15 on CBS, UConn, I'm going to call it 4.5. It's at 4. We'll call it 4.5 for no pushes. I got to take the Razorbacks. So I want the Razorbacks to win. I'm sure going to take them to win, and I will go Razorbacks plus the 4.5, and I'm going to take that under as well, just because I think it will be the classic Jay Billis rock fight. We're calling the over and under at 140.5. So 70-69 would get me there. That's my score. Razorbacks win 70-69.
Wow, both of y'all have thrown out a score. I think this could be one that's really back and forth all game in a close game. So I'll take Arkansas plus the 4.5, and I'll also go under because I haven't watched much Arkansas. I watched a lot of their second game. I didn't get to see much of their first game. Jay was talking about how sloppy the game was for Arkansas. So I think it can maybe be we get some lulls where we don't have some points. Defense for UConn shows up. I'll take the under.
I don't know if I mean sloppy. It's not high level schematically,
gotcha.
beautiful mind style.
It's a brawl.
And I think that if Arkansas is going to win, it needs to be. I agree. I'm going to take.
It's got to be.
I'm going to take UConn though. I think UConn wins by 5, and I think the final score 73-68. I'm going to take the over.
Wow.
Just going over. Boy, all these games feel like that. Either, neither, or both get a technical. Hurley and Muss. Either, neither, or both.
Neither.
Both.
I think maybe at least one ejection.
I love it.
Because they both run so hot. And a few years ago when UConn was in the league, I'm not kidding you, and I know a lot of words. I've used a lot of words. I learned new words from Danny Hurley that night. I'm not kidding you. He could use some of those big words as a adjective, as an adverb, as a pronoun, as a prepositional phrase. I mean, it was quite impressive what he did with it. I mean, it was symphonic how he was cursing that night. And some folks have it. Hubie Brown could do it as well. So the later games, one in New York City, one in Las Vegas, and one of those FAU. They're a 4.5-point underdog. Tennessee installed as a 4.5-point favorite. That's going to tip about 8:00. I'm going to take Tennessee, and I mean really close, right there around the number. I mean, it could feel real good or real bad.
If you're a Tiger fan, who do you pull for in this game?
Dave said this morning, is there a way both teams can lose?
I don't think so.
I don't think there is.
Maybe the lights just go out and they have to delay the game.
Maybe so.
It will be cruel on Tiger fans. I think the cruelty, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what's more cruel. Seeing, I think, just a little average team in FAU move on to the Elite Eight, or the, the idea of the Big Orange moving on to the Elite Eight. On the cruel and unusual meter, on the cruel and unusual sports meter, this is real high tonight.
Oh, yeah, it's breaking the scales for sure. I'll take
and I'm going to go over the 129.5.
Okay.
Tennessee minus 4.5 and over the 129.5, and I don't know how much I believe in either one of those.
I'm going to go with
here's how much I know I believe in it. I'm not putting one dime on it.
Well, that shows a lot. I'm going to go with Tennessee in this game. I think the Florida Atlantic luck has run out. But I'm also going to take the under in this game because I do think if Tennessee wins this game, it's going to be by limiting the made three-pointers by Florida Atlantic. They're going to want to get into that kind of ground and pound game. That's a football reference, but I'll still use it. And so I'll take the under.
Tennessee going to play between the trenches tonight.
That's right. In the trenches. There you go.
Between the
hash marks.
Between
It's got to be football.
Yeah. That's right. I was trying to think of what it would be between.
This game definitely is in the trenches for sure.
In the trenches. One in the trenches. This is a tough one, too, because Tennessee has won a lot of games this year by closer than that margin, even of the spread. So they could still win this game and not cover. I also think Tennessee does not match up well with Florida Atlantic, quite frankly. I heard someone compare Florida Atlantic to Missouri earlier today. And I think it's a good comparison, and that's a team that Tennessee struggled with this year as well. All that being said, kind of like Brett said, I'm not putting a dime on it, and you'll see why.
Because you're taking Tennessee. I'm
going to take the Vols, and hell, I'm going to take the over, too. I think they win by 6, 69-63.
We ride together, Jay Moore.
Wow.
We take the Vols and the over. And again, I don't know how much I believe in either one. Last game of the night, and probably the game of the night, 30-5 Gonzaga against 31-5 UCLA. UCLA trying to reestablish themselves as the all-time team in March Madness. It's been a long time since Jim Herrick won that one that they've won without John Wooden. And tonight goes against the nemesis. Gonzaga beat them 2 years ago in the bubble in Indianapolis at the buzzer in the national semifinal game. And we remember the tears of Adam Morrison years ago in 2006. UCLA, a 1.5-point favorite, and the over and under at 145.5. I'm going to take UCLA minus the 1.5. I'm going to go over the 145.5. And the bold prediction, UCLA pounds Gonzaga.
Whoa. Interesting.
Consistent with your bracket.
Yeah. I, on the other hand, am going to take Gonzaga.
Consistent with your bracket.
Straight up to win the game and to win the NCAA tournament at that. And you talked about Adam Morrison. Drew Timme is going to show tonight why he is Mr. Gonzaga, not Adam Morrison. Drew Timme, he's going to make that case today. You need to retire the mustache up in Spokane, Washington.
I'm gonna send you
the headband?
And the headband.
I'm going to send you some film of Adam Morrison tonight. Maybe you'll reassess by tomorrow's show. I'm
taking the under as well.
Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry. I interrupted you before you could finish. Well, I don't like that because I'm going the same way as you. I also have Gonzaga winning. I think they win by 2, and I'm also going to take the under 73-71. My final just barely goes under.
Wow.
Oh, Jay Morgan, you're living on the edge out there. You like it edgy.
I love it that way.
That's why they call it gaming, isn't it?
That's right. Exactly right. Again,
if it was easy, everybody would do it, wouldn't they?
That's a good point.
Well, you mentioned not laying a dime on FAU and Tennessee. I also wouldn't lay a dime on that Arkansas-UConn game. I did, however, bet this morning K-State and Gonzaga, putting my money where my mouth is in that
parlay
regard.
or straight?
Just straight up there. Because they were both underdogs this morning. I was getting plus money on the money line, so I had them both winning the basketball game.
Can I be honest?
I think all these games tonight are just watch and enjoy to me.
That's probably a smart play by you, Brett.
Can I talk freely?
I would love it if you did.
Sure, we love candor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When we got here today, I don't know if you remember 2.5 hours ago, I said that I was terrified of this picking Kansas State because of all the talk I've heard today. Everyone was picking Kansas State. It even moved them to a favorite.
2 points.
2 points. While in this segment, while I've been watching the start of the game, I bet on Kansas State.
Oh, wow. You were persuaded by the start of the basketball game.
I was.
You played do-rope-a-dope on us, huh?
That's the old John Harden move right there. See the beginning of the game and go, oh, this is 100% Kansas State.
But nothing in it. I just saw them run out on the court.
The first 2 minutes does it for you.
I like this Kansas State team.
It's like the way it's like what you did in the Tiger game earlier this year. The place was buzzing and you said, I'm betting the Tigers.
It was electric, and it worked out.
It did.
It worked out then, so maybe it'll work out again. I don't have the feel, though, of being
You're not there.
there. So I'm sitting here. Brett has a lot of memories of being here in this room. So maybe this will be the start of building memories right here in this room.
I've lived my whole life in this room.
Well, feels like I'm starting to do the same.
Don't consider yourself short. National TV game covered wall to wall. I mean, you've got a pretty good feel of what's going on in that arena.
And maybe, I don't know about the Arkansas game, but John Daly being there.
That's big.
Might be big for
That's
who I'm
big.
taking in that game.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
You don't think JD's playing any of the slots, do you?
Daly? No.
I think that's the best bet you can make all night. Terrible odds on it, probably.
Terrible
though.
odds.
He's going to be parked at a slot machine after that game's over.
Oh, yeah.
But I will defend him just like I did with Ja. And whether people like it or not, whether it's good judgment or not, it probably isn't. But it's his money. It's his life.
Sure is.
Oh, I think it's the most relatable part about John Daly sitting at the slots. Yeah. I mean, if I had the money, I have to play the penny slots because I don't have a lot of money. But if I did, I would be parked.
A lot of pennies going into the slots.
I would be
That's
parked.
a lot of pennies.
That's a lot of pennies. I would be parked there just like John did. Nothing better. Watching the things go, they never go on they never land on what you want them to. But just the possibility that they might. I mean, there's nothing more exciting than playing the slot machine.
You just keep throwing more pennies in there.
My grandmother used to sit there on her computer. She had a slot machine game, and she would sit there and click it all day long and play the slots. And I think watching her do it is where I fell in love with the slots.
Real money or fake money?
It's just like one of those. The name it was like Hoyle Casino. You know what I mean? They got the card games and stuff like that.
Right.
So they have the slot machines. Man, nothing better. I'm telling you right now. You haven't lived.
Now, is that the grandmother that's the Cub fan?
No, different. That's my mom. That's my dad's mom. That's the Cub fan. This is my mom's mom. Very Lebanese to love the slots. I'm telling you right now. Very Lebanese.
That's good stuff.
Take your
That's
word
good grandmothering.
That's right. It is, and teach me how to do it too. Thank you.
Oh, even better. Even better. But let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day. When we come back, it'll be time for Taco Bell Crunch Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, my name is Dawn Grader, the CEO of Southern Security, your home team credit union. For almost 70 years, Southern Security has been serving the Mid-South community with unbeatable rates, low fees, service, and technology. Are you a business owner in need of an auto loan? Need better benefits with your credit card? At Southern Security, we can handle all your business banking needs, provide low competitive rates, and give you better benefits on your credit card and much, much more. To find out how you can join the Southern Security family, call 901-452-7900 to talk to one of our team members. Or you can visit our website at southernsecurity.org. Southern Security is a proud sponsor of the University of Memphis Athletic Department. Southern Security, your home team credit union.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, trunk lids, license plate holders, and headlights. They've got lots of headlights. When you need parts, get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's gonna fit. eBay Motors, let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Do you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes? Good news. There's a new way out. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative. Call U.S. Tax Shield, A+ rated with the BBB. 800-391-5063 for your free consultation and let U.S. Tax Shield protect you from the IRS.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Brian Elder Roofing, 867-0303. You've known the name for 30 years. You might even remember him from nearly 20 years on Kix 106 as half of the Young and Elder Show. Now, 13 years later, Brian Elder is the largest purchaser of Owens Corning shingles in Memphis. Call him right now, 867-0303. Certified and trained by Owens Corning to earn a reputation for quality and expertise matched by no one. Don't let them tell you it has to be replaced when all it needs is a repair. Call right now, 867-0303. He'll climb every inch of your roof.
He'll go into your attic and run a moisture and ventilation test using state-of-the-art equipment to make certain you're protected from mold and other contaminants. You may be causing respiratory problems for your family and not even know it. We're waiting for your call, 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
What I learned today is a tweet from Adam Schefter about an hour ago. I'll just read the tweet word for word. Source: NFL sent a memo to all clubs letting them know that the NFLPA informed the league that a person by the name of Ken Francis, who is not an NFLPA certified agent, may be contacting teams and attempting to persuade team personnel to enter into negotiations with Lamar Jackson. NFL memo said teams are prohibited from negotiating offer sheets or potential trades with an individual not certified by the NFLPA. Any team that does can be fined $54,409, which is the fine amount for 2023. So I guess there's some random person named Ken Francis going around trying to get teams to negotiate on Lamar Jackson.
Boy, Tim Francis just out there trying to make a little side hustle.
That's right.
Goodell comes off the top rope on him. Wow.
It's insane.
I learned last night, and it was so much fun in the building. It's really – the building is building to the best time of the year, playoff times. The Grizzlies are hot again. Ja is back, and it's the perfect time for both. It was too close for comfort for a lot of the night. I love some of the young Houston Rockets pieces, but the Grizzlies prevailed – and taking my season record in person at games to 11-1. Now, I had a friend of mine humble me very much. After I said that earlier, he texted back. He goes, Brett, in a year that the Grizzlies are, 31-5 at home, you're taking a lot of credit for being 11-1.
Well, that might be a good point, but I still give you credit for it.
You've been to 20% of their losses, Brett. I just realized that.
Wow.
And that was way back in October. Heck, last year against Boston.
Wow. I'm telling you, I think we need to get you on a plane with the team, flying from location. They only have, 4 more road games this season, so I think it's doable.
I'm up for that.
I'm up for it, too. I think we need to get it started. What I could have done without, also from Adam Schefter a couple hours ago, this just makes me sad. Cowboys
two
running.
Shefty references in crunch time?
I mean, what's going on? What does the world come to?
The NFL news, it never stops.
It never stops. That's right. But this one really did hurt. It made me sad. Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott has narrowed down his options about where to play to the Eagles, the Jets, and the Bengals. So, obviously, I would hate to see him be an Eagle. I would just hate it. One of my
Jets are going to sign everybody, aren't they? OBJ,
Jets can just sign anybody they
George
want.
Sauer, Matt Snell, Emerson Boozer, Don Maynard. They're signing everybody, aren't they?
Yeah, I guess out of those 3 teams, I think the Jets I would be most okay with because I don't have anything against the Jets. One of my best friends is a Bengals fan, so I don't want him to be a Bengal. I don't want him to be an Eagle, that's for sure.
Bragging rights.
Maybe he should just retire.
I probably have said enough about it already today, but I could have done without all that with Mark Cuban last night. Look, he had a reason to be mad over the blown call, but to go down to the table, to go out on the court, I thought an extremely, extremely bad look. The league can't have that. They cannot have the games this in question, and with Luka Doncic doing the the money sign like they're being paid off, that's got to be met with harsh penalty. You cannot have integrity questions.
No, not at all. And I think you're right. I think they need to come down on it and make sure that this isn't something that continues to happen, because obviously a lot of emotion from that Dallas team after the game, and even Mark Cuban, like you said. So I think, like Jay said, maybe we hear something tomorrow or the next day regarding this.
And I had to look this up. Yeah, I want y'all to guess real quick. Guess Mark Cuban's age without hitting the Google machine. Try to guess it.
52.
65.
65 on the money. Great get. Look, man, 65. He looks great. I don't think he's had any work either.
That's impressive.
He and Muss.
That's right. What I'm keeping an eye on tonight, a lot of college basketball. We already got the first game in action. It's 17-17 right now between Michigan State and Kansas State. But we also have Arkansas in action, Tennessee in action, the big one, Gonzaga versus UCLA tonight. So it'll be a lot of fun college basketball tonight.
It will be. I'm watching how these games are called. If it's ticky-tack, then I think it hurts a lot of teams. For Michigan State, I think it would hurt. For Arkansas, I think it would hurt. And then for Tennessee, we know it would hurt. And then UCLA late, I think they want it pretty run and gun. I don't think they want it called very close, not a lot of scrutiny. And can FAU get open looks against the Tennessee defense? Jerome Tang, in his first year as a head coach, he's got to beat Tom Izzo to get to Elite Eight. What a dream year for him.
Yeah, it's been incredible what he's done with that Kansas State team. A lot of fun. They're like I said, 17-17 right now against Michigan State. Jay, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Is this the first day that the Rangers have played and you haven't worn anything New York Rangers?
Well, it's Sweet 16 day today. That's
so you had to wear your Tennessee
I
guard.
had to wear my Tennessee
VFL, man.
Right. Just like Brett said, VFL. That's
Ball
right.
Coast Guard.
No, it's the Ball Navy.
Those games in Vegas tonight, well, even in New York, this can define Rick Barnes. I mean, okay, He's not second-round Rick this year, but is third-round Rick that much better? And if he gets to the Elite Eight, I think it backs a lot of people off.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, you got Florida Atlantic tonight. I mean, a beatable team. You win that, and you got, the winner of this game going on right now. So, I mean, I think it could be.
You would think so, but people were upset all year this year because they weren't scoring enough. The games were too close.
People are always going to find something.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what he said. People
That's
were going
true.
to back off. That Tennessee fan base with Rick Barnes, he has a little bit shorter leash than most coaches.
I mean, you make it to the Elite Eight or even the Sweet 16, and you're still going to have people coming at you?
I agree with you and Brett, but I just am telling you they were very upset.
I think they will,
year.
Bryant. I think
crazy.
they will. They're now, for most people, getting to a Sweet 16, that's the end of the debate. But I don't think it is for Mark Few. It's probably not for Mick Cronin. Most of the time it's not for Tom Izzo, and I don't think it is tonight for Rick Barnes. I do think it is, even though the last 2 years Eric Musselman's been to an Elite Eight. But I think this year, with everything he's had thrown at him, I think the Razorback fans, and they should be and probably will be, very supportive. But if he got to a third straight Elite Eight, that's game, set, and match. I mean, you just couldn't complain about anything.
It might be hard for Tennessee fans to see Bruce Pearl coaching in their league and doing a good job too.
That's a great
as animated
point.
as he is.
That is a great point. I wish you had the sound pulled up from Bruce Pearl, man.
When he went
joke,
crazy.
Joke.
Bruce
stuff.
Pearl out there always gets the inevitable comparisons, and it's going to be that way as long as he's in the league, because they know for what they got in trouble with over Bruce Pearl now is just it was nothing then, but now it's even less. I mean, they had a hot dog cookout.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
No,
aspect
buddy,
of it,
but
too.
you can't lie. I mean, the NCAA, they come on hard on you if you lie.
Boy, don't
liars,
they?
Yeah.
I'm glad they've never lied.
That's exactly right, Brett. They're the moral
ever.
authority.
Like Lincoln and Never Told a Lie.
Yeah.
Honest Dave.
Honest
That's
Dave.
it. Oh, honest Indianapolis.
So it'll be fun. The games tonight, 4 of them tonight, 4 of them tomorrow. Also got a little bit of NBA, 2 games on NBA TV, Thunder Clippers and Knicks Magic. But that's all the time we've got today. Enjoy your night, enjoy the games, and we'll be back again tomorrow afternoon for another edition of Sports Time.